right, Cleveland, let's go, let's go, let's go. Oh, come on, you guys can do better than that. Come on. All right. I'm so happy to be back with you guys. This is going to be a great day. We are in the point of the market that's taking place right now where everything that I'm going to share with you today is not just going to prepare you to kind of make it through, not just to prepare you to thrive, but to prepare you to win in this next market. And so when we were putting the notes together for 5 steps to 15 more sellers, I was looking at, all right, what is it that we're doing not last year, not 6 months ago? What is it we're doing right now to take listing inventory? So I went all the way back to January 1st of this year, and I took a note of every single listing that we took, every single source of business, every single area that it came from, and I made a list of where all of our business was coming from. And I took it a little bit of a step further because I know what it's like. You go to events and you see speakers or hear panelists and they say, well, I get a lot of listings from my farm, or I get a lot of listings from my database, or I get a lot of listings from for sale by owners. And you want to know, well, how do you get a lot of listings from your database? How do you get a lot of listings from your farm? Today is all about the how. Are you guys good with that? All right, good. So my name's Jeff Glover. I'm from right up the street in Detroit, Michigan. For those that don't know me, I've been listing and selling real estate now. This past May was actually my 20th year in the business. So for those first timers who are trying to do some quick math, in Michigan you can get licensed when you're 9. That's how that works out. No, I've been doing this really ever since high school. Ever since I graduated, I got my license at 18, and I'm on the ground with you, which you hear me say a lot if you follow us, and that's because that really is the biggest difference. People ask the question, all right, what's different about you and Glover U and what you guys do? Well, first things first, we're broker agnostic. We jokingly say we're non-denominational, right? So we have agents from all companies and all brokerages represented today. When you come to our bigger events, you'll see agents from Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, RE/MAX, EXP, Century 21, a lot of independents, and we're for everybody. Why? Because what we do works no matter what company you're with, and that's why we say we're brand agnostic. Also, for those that don't know, I'm still on the ground with you, meaning I'm still personally taking anywhere from, say, 7 listings on a bad month to 8 to 10 listings on a good month, and that's me personally. Our team in Detroit takes anywhere from 65 listings on a bad month to 80 or 90 on a good month. And one thing I love about the Cleveland market and the Detroit market, there's a lot of similarities, right? I mean, obviously we're both Midwest. Obviously, we both have similar, grit and kind of the Rust Belt kind of mentality, and that's what I love every single time I get to come to Ohio to talk, because it's so easy to share what I'm doing up the street. And what that means is everything I'm doing up the street, or across the lake, I guess you could say, is going to work here as well. In fact, we've got now hundreds, if not thousands, of success stories across the country, several of which are located in your great state of Ohio. So, and several of them are here today, so thank you to our great clients for being here. So first things first, I want to make sure everyone's got a workbook in their hands. You got a workbook when you checked in. If not, raise your hand. We'll make sure that we get you one. All right, cool. Everyone's got a workbook. Also want to let you know, you may have noticed when you were purchasing your ticket for today's event that there were 2 options. You had Cleveland, Ohio, and right above that you saw virtual. And that's because we've got people actually on virtual right now. So we chose Ohio, we chose Cleveland to be our virtual stop. So you'll see the cameras moving about, just ignore them, act like they're not even there, because this is being live streamed to not just agents around the country, but actually we have agents now in different countries that are buying tickets to our stuff. So it's pretty cool to know that your event is the one that's being live streamed out there. So having said that, when we get to the ground rules, make sure your cell phones are on silent. That's important, and it definitely affects the experience. So if you would do me a favor, turn to the first inside cover, if you will, of your workbook. And you see 2 companies represented there. And before I go to the next page, I want to make sure that, number one, we thank them, and also you guys should thank them as well, because if it weren't for these 2 organizations, your ticket would be like $129 instead of $29, because to put on these events, to have lights and audio and AVs and all this stuff, it's a lot more than $29 per head. So let's hear it for these 2 organizations to help put this on. Thank you. And on the break, I would encourage you to make sure you visit with them and thank them as well. So do me a favor, turn to the next sheet of paper where it says rules to live by. Now, of course, I'm from Detroit, and I know what you guys hear about Detroit, so I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear this, but we don't really like rules, right? So when I say we're going to cover the ground rules, help me out with a big loud wah-wah, all right? 1, 2, 3, guys, we're going to cover the ground rules. I know it's miserable. We'll get it over with quickly, I promise. All right, rule number 1, show up on time, mentally, physically, emotionally present. You're all physically here. Anyone not mentally here yet? I know it's a little early. Oh, good. We had a hand go up a couple weeks ago in Austin. Number 2, remember to flip the switch at the door. Doesn't matter what happened to you on the ride in. We're 100% into what's going on today. Number 3, we're going to have a break about halfway through the session. So, by the way, that's going to take place at about 10:40, 10:45 at the very latest. So, and that's going to be a 15-minute break. So you have a chance to return phone calls, check email, do whatever you got to do, refresh your coffee, refresh your water. That's going to take place at about 10:45, and then it'll go right until 11. And don't worry, we'll make sure we get through all the material and have you out of here by 5 o'clock tonight, okay? Just checking. We are finishing, we're averaging about 10 minutes long, just giving you an early heads up on that, meaning these sessions have been ending about 12:10. And a lot of that is because we know that there's several different time zones, Eastern Standard Time, Central Standard Time, Pacific Time, and Realtor Time. So we always end up starting 10 minutes late because of that, and so therefore we're ending at about 12:10, just to give you a heads up on that. All right, no stinking thinking today. Sometimes you'll hear something and it doesn't necessarily resonate with you or your business or isn't the way you would do things. Hey, keep that thought to yourself. You never know when the person next to you is about to have a breakthrough. Finally, let's have fun and let's keep an open mind this morning. The more you open your mind, the better chance you have of growing and performing at a higher level. Do me a favor, write your name down there, the bottom left-hand corner. Almost every single one of these sessions, somebody leaves a workbook behind. So get your name in there, and before you turn the page, and if you did turn the page, go back. Today, you're going to have an opportunity to win some really cool Live Unreal swag. And I'm not talking like t-shirts and plastic water bottles. We got really nice stuff. You might have seen some of it as you were checking in. So when you're posting on social media today, because many of you will, I'm sure, already, or maybe you already have been using your ring lights that we gifted you, make sure you're using those 2 hashtags at the bottom. Hashtag 5StepsTour, hashtag LoverYou. And we do that for your good. Why? Because we recommend that when you're going to events and you're learning and growing, that you're posting to social media. Your clients love to see that you're learning and growing. Just make sure that you always translate whatever you're putting out there, add a sentence or 2 about how it's going to benefit them. Always add a sentence or 2 about, hey, learning the 5 steps to 15 more sellers to put more homes on the market in this new market, right? Translate it into a way, learning the 5 steps to 15 more sellers to give better value to my buyers, right? Start when you're doing your social media posts, especially when you're at events and conferences and stuff, start adding a sentence or 2 how it benefits your client. Otherwise, they're going to think all you do is party in Las Vegas at these conferences or something, okay? So make sure we do that. Okay, go ahead and turn the page. In fact, let's go to the first clean sheet of paper. I'm going to do some giveaways now. Page 7, it says resources, first clean sheet of paper. And I'm going to give you some free resources right now. So show of hands, first time at a LoverYou event. Real high, real high. First timers, real high, real high. Wow. What's amazing, so that's about 80% of the room. And what's amazing in that is when we travel across the country and put on these events, and we do our big events down in Orlando or a big event up in Traverse City, which many of you have been to, outside of Michigan, Ohio is our #1 state for attendees at our big events. And so it's always fascinating to me when we come to the state how many new people there are still showing up. So of course, thank you to the 20% that are repeat and are in our sphere of influence, as we call it. And the rest of you, thank you for taking a chance on us. So for the 20% that didn't raise your hands, you're probably familiar with these resources. Just bear with me for a few minutes while I get through them. So first things first, do me a favor, write down the words Live Unreal, and then after that, podcast. Live Unreal podcast. Now, first things first, I want to make sure for the 80% of you that raise your hands, you understand what Live Unreal means. So our mission is to impact millions to live their most unreal life, period. So everything we do at LoverYou, we wake up every day looking at how can we put together an event that's going to impact millions to live their most unreal lives? How can we put together a program that's going to impact others to live their most unreal lives? Everything we're doing is teaching and coaching and training to help people live their most unreal lives. That's what we're about. That's why we're putting on 46 of these in an 8-week span. We have 3 happening today. We've got Baltimore happening today, we've got Fort Wayne, and we've got Cleveland, and of course the virtual, the folks that are joining us on the virtual. So when you hear Live Unreal, know that our definition, by the way, of the term unreal, because unreal can go one of a couple ways, right? Unreal can be like, wow, that's amazing, or it can be like, oh my gosh, what's going on? That's unreal. Our definition of unreal is something so amazing, it's almost unbelievable. So when you hear us say that's unreal, something so amazing, it's almost unbelievable. And then, of course, you put live in front of it, and that's what we want. We want you to live a life so amazing, it's almost unbelievable. So when you see Live Unreal, know that that's our mission to help you get there so long as you stick with us, whether it's coming to these events, around the country. So Live Unreal podcast is the first thing I want you to write down. We drop a new podcast every week. It's usually 20 to 40 minutes. By the way, do we have our podcast listeners? Show of hands real high, real high. If you listen to podcasts, show real, okay. The rest of you that didn't raise your hands, my advice to you is this. If ever you go to events, and top producers are always getting out of their box and going to events. When you go to events and you interview and you have people interviewed on stage, you always hear, all right, what is it that made you successful? What is it that made you the top producer that you are? What is it that you're doing to succeed? And almost always they'll say, starts with mindset, starts with mindset, starts with mindset, right? We hear that over and over, starts with mindset. Well, then the question is, well, how do I have a better mindset? My answer when people ask me that, podcasts. Whether it's ours or somebody else's, you have 5 days in the week. You have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that you're going to get in your car and drive to an appointment or drive to the office. You should be listening to podcasts. Pick 5. Have a Monday podcast, have your Tuesday podcast, have your Wednesday, and so on. And of course, ours drops every Thursday, by the way. And again, that's called the Live Unreal podcast. Number 2 resource that I want to share with you. Who in the room currently receives our daily text message, the daily text message? Okay, good. So for those of you that didn't raise your hands, let me explain real briefly what it is. So every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday, right after our 7:30 accountability call, because I've got a 7:30 accountability call every morning, so about 7:45, I write a daily message. Sometimes it's short and sweet, like, hey, just get to work. Sometimes it's, hey, here's what's going on in the market. Here's what I suggest you do. Like today I talked about why we have to increase our daily contacts because the percentage of sales will decline based on less listings selling and less buyers buying. And so how do you offset that? You increase your daily contacts. We'll talk a little bit more about that this morning. The point is, every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday, I write a daily message and we send it out. It's totally free. There's no spam in there. We use email for the spam, so you get that otherwise through email. But we'll send out a daily text message every morning. It comes at about 8:45. If you want to sign up for it, it's totally free. It's inspirational, it's informative, it's motivating, it's something that will add value to your day each day. I'll show you how you get it. Take out your cell phones. Take out your cell phones and open up your text message, just as if you were texting a new friend. The phone number is 55444. It's totally free to sign up. Again, this is no spam. Phone number is 55444. And by the way, if you don't like the messaging at any point in time, you can reply stop and you're automatically removed. The system will automatically remove you. 55444 is the phone number, and in the body of the message, just type morning, MORNING, and hit send. You're texting the word morning to 55444. And within a minute or two, it's going to respond asking for your name. Make sure you give it your name so we know how to address you, and then you're signed up, just like that. Again, that's texting the word morning to 55444. The next resource I want to give you for free moving forward is our Glover Gazette. This is a magazine that we produce, and we left one at your table today. There's about 80 to 90 pages of real estate sales and business information. We produce now 50,000 copies of these and send them out to producers all across North America. Absolutely no cost. We cover the postage, we cover the mailing. Since I'm probably not going to be in Cleveland every time we produce one of these to hand it to you, you can sign up and be on the mailing list. How do you get this? I'll show you how. Open up your Facebook app, go to your Facebook app, and in the top right-hand corner, there's a little magnifying glass, a search bar, and you're going to search Glover space, the letter U, space inner circle. Glover U inner circle. That's a free Facebook group. which of course we drop scripts in there, videos, ideas. When we're coming to Cleveland, we'll drop that in there as well. So there's some value in being in that group. But when it asks you if you'd like to subscribe to our publication, that's what this is. And by the way, don't put your email address in there. So many people put their email address in there. It's physical. So put your office address or put your home address, wherever you want us to send it. And for those of you that are like, Jeff, I'm already in the inner circle, but I don't get your magazine. How do I get the magazine? There's another workaround just to get the magazine. Or if you're not interested in being in another Facebook group, here's how you get the magazine. Go to gloveru.com/Gazette. If you just go to gloveru.com/Gazette, you can sign up yourself, your broker, your associates, sign up as many people as you want to receive this every time we produce it. And that is the Glover Gazette magazine. Last but not least, the last resource I want to share with you before we jump into the material. We're in the middle right now of a summer webinar series. So we took a look at what's going on in the market right now, what's happening in our business, and what we are doing to succeed and what we know agents need to succeed. And we put together 9 free webinars. So all of you have access to those webinars. You can access them by going to gloveru.com/webinar. gloveru.com/webinar. They're on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. We've already had 2 or 3 that we've completed. You can go back and watch the replays if you'd like, and we've got several more to get through before summer is over. Okay, so those are the free resources. I wanted to make sure that you had them in your hands, and we're going to shift gears now and go to where'd my clicker go? I think it's over here. We're going to do an activity that we've done for years. So for the 20% of you that raise your hands, you know this activity because we do it every time we come to Cleveland, and that's called the Gloverisms activity. And it takes about 15 minutes for us to get to, and essentially the point of this activity is to lay the foundation for what we're going to cover today. It really helps you understand, okay, now I see why they're doing it this way. That makes more sense now. And so around the rooms, we have banners hanging on the wall. There's 4 along this side and there's 4 along that side. And each one of these banners has a different meaning to them. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to call on 8 random individuals, and I'm going to ask you to do one of 3 things for me. Number 1, I'm going to ask you to say your name nice and loud. Number 2, I'm going to ask you to read the sign for us nice and loud, and I'll repeat it if the people on a different side didn't get a chance to hear it. And number 3, I'm going to ask you in your mind what you think it means. Now here's the good news. We've done this literally hundreds of times. No one gets them wrong. No one gets these wrong. From time to time, I'll add a little flair, I'll share a little personal story, and I'll give you an advice here. I like calling on people who don't make eye contact with me. It's a little trickery. I'm kidding, I won't do that. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go back here. And, Miss, your first name?
Megan.
Megan, would you mind taking that one for us, please, Megan? Flip the switch at the door. And Megan, in your mind, what does that mean? And I'll repeat it so everyone can hear it.
To be ready, like whenever you go in somewhere new.
Yes, to be ready to be on, right? Just flip the switch, like I've got to be on, right? This one actually has a couple meanings to it, all right? So the first one is, for years in our office, and it's still there, it just moved. It used to be above the door when you'd walk in, now it's to the right. We have this wall of all the isms. When our agents walk into the office, including myself, right above the door, there's 3 words that said, flip the switch. Flip the switch. And all of our agents know that when we're in the office, we're here to learn, we're here to grow, we're here to produce, we're here to get to the next level. That means we're leaving everything outside. Leaving all the crap from home outside, leaving a closing that just fell apart, we're going to leave that outside, we're leaving everything outside that door. Because when we walk through the office the door, we're flipping the switch. And we're 100% into what we need to do, what our schedule says we need to do, what our task list says that we need to do. That's the first meaning. The second meaning of flip the switch at the door is something I've done for years. In fact, I think it was probably 2008 or 2009 when I learned this. I had a coach that taught me this, and that was when you go up to listing appointments or buyer consultations, I want you to imagine yourself essentially flipping the switch and being 100% into them. So something I've done for years, which some of you guys have heard this before if you've been to our events, and I still do this to this day. All right, I had a listing appointment not last night, but the night before. I'm walking up to the front porch, and I get up to the front door. I do this on every appointment, on a listing appointment especially. I go to reach my hand out to ring their doorbell. I say to myself, not out loud, because the Ring doorbells can hear you now, so that's not good. I say to myself, flip the switch, it's showtime. Flip the switch, it's showtime. And that's just a reminder to be 100% into the prospects, be 100% into what they have to say. It's amazing what happens when you leave everything outside. You ask better questions, you listen with more intention, you respond better to their answers. What then happens is you build more rapport, and then you get more contracts signed. Flip the switch at the door. Thank you for that one. All right, let's move over here, and I'm going to pick on you, my young man. First name, please?
George.
George, would you mind taking that one, please?
Own the morning, win the day.
Own the morning, win the day. And George, in your mind, what does that mean?
Just get going early in the morning. You're focused.
Yep.
The rest of the day.
If you get going early in the morning, you're focused on what you need to do each day, the rest of the day will just fall into place, right? If you own the morning, you'll end up winning the day. This one actually has a couple meanings to it. Thank you for that, George. First things first, here's a couple tips on owning the morning, winning the day. Number one, top producers, they do the same things at the same time every single day. They wake up at the same time, they brush their teeth at the same time, they go to the gym at the same time. The highest producers in the land do the same things at the same time. It's boring and it's mundane and it's routine, but it pays off. It works. Same things at the same time, number one. Number two, they also do the lead generation and what I call client generation activities in the morning only. Client generation activities in the morning, client servicing activities in the afternoon. So no inspections, no walkthroughs, no closings, none of that in the morning. When we have people today, hey, can we do this closing at 9 a.m.? I'm sorry, I'm booked at that time. Is it possible we could do 1 or 2? Is it possible we can do our walkthrough tomorrow at 9 a.m.? I'm sorry, we've got the closing at 2, so why don't we do the walkthrough at 1 or 1:30 on the way to the closing? The morning is for client generation. The afternoon is for client servicing. A little bit later, I'm going to share a copy of my morning schedule that I followed for years, because people have been asking to see it, so we finally said, okay, let's just share it. And what you're going to find in there is that everything I do is a routine at the same time. Client generation in the morning, client servicing in the afternoon. Own the morning, you'll win the day. What's also fascinating about this one is, I get it. By the way, I'm not saying hashtag 5 a.m. club, right? I'm not saying like everyone's got to be up at 5 a.m. and in the office at 7 a.m. All I'm saying is do the same things at the same time. And I get, from time to time, I'll have people come up to me on break and say, what would you recommend? I'm a single mom with little ones. What do you recommend there? And my recommendation is you're going to have to find some consistency in the morning. Maybe Mondays and Wednesdays look one way, and Tuesdays and Thursdays look this way. Maybe Wednesdays and Fridays look this way, and Mondays and Tuesdays look this way. As long as there's some consistency in the morning, everything else will fall into place. But what is your schedule in the morning? We believe so strongly in this one for years, and I've been coaching agents, I think 2005 was the first year I started working with agents. And we would help agents create an ideal day, meaning I would ask an agent, all right, what time do you want to start, and what time do you want to be home by? Well, I'd like to start at 9:30, and I want to be home by 6. Okay, cool, that's a good day, I can work with that. So let's build a schedule. So we would build a schedule for the entire day. And we did this for years up until about 5 years ago. We changed our business plan. Now, if you get your hands on our business plan, which many of you probably use it to some degree, you'll notice that there isn't an all-day schedule. There's just a morning schedule. Because we know that if you master the morning, everything else just falls into place. I don't need to know when you're going on appointments or having closings or doing walkthroughs or showing homes or having listing appointments. I don't need to know any of that. As long as you follow your morning schedule and your routine, you're going to have plenty of business. Own the morning, win the day. Thank you for that. All right, let's move over here to this one. And miss, your first name?
Brooke.
Brooke, would you mind taking that one, please?
If I didn't go on an appointment today, seriously, what did I accomplish?
If I didn't go on an appointment today, and you have to say it like this, Brooke, like seriously, what did I accomplish? In your mind, what does that mean?
If you didn't go on an appointment, you didn't really accomplish anything because appointments get you listings. or
Correct.
buyers.
If you didn't go on an appointment, you really didn't accomplish anything because appointments get you listings, appointments get you buyers. Absolutely. If I didn't go on an appointment today, seriously, what did I accomplish? Has a really special meaning. In fact, my very first coach, his name was James. I had a call with him every week, and I got back from a conference, And, when you go to conferences, you're all fired up and you see people on stage and you have this thought, oh, if he can do it, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it. Or like one of these, like, did they just say they're doing 100 deals? Seriously? Is that guy doing 100 deals? Really? Right? You have the kind of those things. And then you get back and you're like, all right, if that guy did 100 deals, I'm doing 100 deals next year. So I tell my real estate coach that my goal next year is 100 deals. He said, Jeff, you did 43 transactions. This was at the end of 07. He said, Jeff, you did 43 transactions this year. What makes you think you're going to go from 43 to 100? I don't know. I went to an event. I saw people doing it. I'm ready. Let's go. He said, hold on a minute. Before you commit to doing 100 transactions next year, I want you to take out a clean sheet of paper. So I did. He said, I want you to write down the number 100. Some of you have heard the story. So I wrote down the number 100. And I finished his sentence. I said, closings, right? He said, nope, listings sold. Okay. I said, James, why are you having me write down 100 listings sales when I just want 100 closings? He said, well, Jeff, you did 43 transactions last year. 38 of them were sellers and only 5 of them were buyers. So either you don't like buyers or buyers don't like you. By the way, both are still true to this day. He said, so we're going to focus on sellers. Got it. So I wrote down 100 listings sold. He said, now I want you to write down the number 150. I said, okay, what does this number represent? He said, this number represents the number of listings you need to take in order to have 100 listings sell. Okay, how did you arrive at that number, James? He said, well, because you sold 38 listings and you took 55 to have 38 sell. And if we're carrying that ratio over, you're going to have to take 150 to have 100 listings sell. All right, so I wrote down 150 listings taken. Now, for those of you that are trying to do some math, 5 years or less in the business, 5 years or less, show of hands, real high, real high, 5 years or less. Okay, good. This one's for you guys. If you can believe it, there was actually a day where you could take a listing, put it on the market, and it doesn't sell. I mean, you put it in the MLS, put it on Zillow, put a sign in the yard, and it actually wouldn't sell. We had to do these things. It's been so long. Starts with a P. Price reductions. We had to do these things called price reductions to get them to sell. By the way, those are coming back, aren't they? Welcome to the new market, which is great. By the way, you guys understand, I'll jump back in the story in a second. You understand that this market softening is the absolute best thing that could happen to this group of people, because our value as real estate agents goes up when the market softens. Our value increases. They need what we do more. And guess what else happens? Your competition goes down. Now, let me say this. The agents that make it through, they tend to improve their skills. They tend to improve what they're doing. They tend to improve their value propositions. So the agents that make this next market or win in this next market take it very seriously. They go back to doing pre-listing packages. They go back to following a script because they didn't have to do that in the last market. So on one hand, it's less competitive because agents drop out of the business. But on the other hand, the agents that are left are more competitive, right? So it's not just this. I had somebody come up to me in Dallas and say, well, now that listings are rising, does that mean there's going to be more listings to go around? And I said, absolutely not. Now, per agent, sure, you could argue that, but what's going to happen is your top producers are actually going to take more listings because they're putting time and energy and getting better at their listing skills. Well, yeah, but they've been in the business 10 years. Why do they need to get better at their listing skills? Well, because for the last 5, they haven't used them. For the last 5, they weren't sending out pre-listing packages like they used to. They weren't maybe, paying for the extra staging or drone photography because they didn't need it. So back to the story. So this is a good thing. Trust me, this next market is a good thing for everyone in here, as long as you stay with it and stay educated, stay learning, stay growing, stay sharp. So 150 listings to sell 100. All right, got it, James. He said, okay, now the next number I want you to write down is the number 250. So I wrote down the number 250, and kind of reluctantly I said, what does this number represent? He said, this number represents the number of appointments you're going to have to go on to have 150 sellers sign with you. 250 to get 150 to sign with me? Really? I'm that bad? He said, Jeff, you took 55 listings, and you went on 87 appointments to get 55 listings. He said, so if you carry that ratio out, yeah. In order to get 150 sellers to sign with you, you're going to have to go see 250. At this point, I'm looking to change the subject, maybe change the goal. He said, hold on, Jeff, we're not done. I want you to write down the number 250 again. So I did. What does this number represent? Jeff, this number represents the number of days available to work. How do you figure? There's 365. He said, well, when you subtract Sundays, which I don't work Sundays, I refuse to work Sundays, you subtract some holidays, you go to conferences every quarter, you subtract those, a couple sick days here and there, a couple vacations. I know you like going to Michigan football games, the best team in college football. I know you like going to Michigan football games, so there's some Saturdays. He said, Jeff, there's about 250 working days available. So I wrote down 250. He said, what do you notice? I said, well, I have to go on an appointment every single day. He said, that's right. If you want to sell 100 homes next year, you have to get out in front of 250 potential sellers in order to hit 100 closings. So this was 2008. This was the end of 07. Now, by the way, he said, before I have you, he said, do you still want to do this? You still want to commit to this? I said, absolutely. He said, okay, I'm going to put a penalty in place because we only have a 30-minute coaching call once per week. I'm going to put a daily penalty in place because there's no way you're hitting this goal without a penalty. I said, what's that? He said, every day you don't have an appointment by noon, I want you to spend 60 minutes out in the field door knocking. Now, he knew I hated door knocking. Anyone besides me just kind of despised door knocking? Oh, come on, get your hands up. All right, for those of you that didn't raise your hands, okay, we're just going to go all around Cleveland and start knocking on some doors this afternoon. How's that sound? I got some time. I'm going to Indianapolis after this. It's a drive. We can go knock on some doors. So he knew I hated door knocking. So every day I didn't have an appointment set by 12 noon, I had to door knock. Well, guess what? What did it do? It got me in the office earlier. It made sure that I was getting my contacts in. You better believe like 11:30 to noon was the most intense half hour of my prospecting session. I was doing everything I could to set an appointment because by 12 noon, if I didn't have one, I had to go door knocking. Well, he was genius for making that the penalty because watch this. Fast forward to the end of 2008. I went on 247 listing appointments. I took 146 listings, and I had 102 sales that year. That was the first year. This is no team. This is just me, myself, and I. No admin, no nothing. Just pounding the phones, pounding the pavement, right? The old saying. And so when I look back to that year, that was the first year I sold over 100 homes. And by the way, I never dropped below until 2019. It was my goal. Somebody asked me at our last event down in Florida, Jeff, when did you have this idea for Glover U? And I said right away, I said probably 2005, 2006. Why did you wait so long? Because I wanted to be able to stand on stage and said I sold 100 homes a year, 10 years in a row, and I'm still on the ground because I have to have something that's unique. Because today you can sell 6 or 8 homes and be a realtor, entrepreneur, speaker, trainer, coach extraordinaire, right? All these other letters after your business card. And so I had to sell 100 homes that year and every year for the next 10 years in order to be able to get the opportunity to do this. So if I didn't go on an appointment today, seriously, what did I accomplish? Was written out on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper hanging above my light switch next to my door. So it reminded me every time I went to walk out of my office at lunchtime, I didn't accomplish anything if I wasn't going to go see somebody today. So what did that do? That meant I was dressing up every day because you suit up or you dress up for what you want, not for what you have. You understand that if you want an appointment every single day, you dress for an appointment every single day. It's amazing what it does up here for you. It's amazing the extra effort that you'll put in and the extra call that you'll put in because you just got your clothes dry cleaned and you don't want to waste a good dry clean. Well, see, for me, it didn't matter because if I didn't get an appointment, I was going door knocking. So I was getting use out of whatever clothes I had on that day anyways. By the way, I mentioned the door knocking thing was genius. Of the 102 transactions, 19 of them came from people I met at the door. 19 of almost 20% of my transactions were from door knocking. And I hated door knocking. But the reason why door knocking is effective, even still to this day, is because it's face-to-face. And there's absolutely nothing better than face-to-face. So if I don't have a face-to-face scheduled appointment, I'm at least going to get some use out of this suit, right? I'm at least going to go see somebody. If I didn't go on an appointment today, seriously, what did I accomplish? Thank you, Brooke. All right, let's move over here. Sir, your first name?
Dwayne.
Dwayne, would you mind reading that one for us, please?
Real estate is a contact sport.
Real estate is a contact sport. And Dwayne, in your mind, what does that mean?
That if you're not making contact with people regularly and
Yep.
adding them into your database and so forth,
Yep.
being successful.
If you're not making contacts with people regularly, if you're not adding them to your database, then you're not being successful. You're not doing the activities, right? We sometimes forget, and this is what's so interesting about this business. And by the way, a lot of the reason why I think even in this next market, so many people will kind of flock to a lot of what we're teaching and doing. Because at the end of the day, no matter what's going on in the market, it all boils down to that. No matter what social media strategy there is, no matter what technology, no matter what email system, text blast, voicemail drop, whatever you're using, it still boils down to, well, how many contacts are you making per day? We had a gentleman at our sales meeting yesterday. Respect him. His name's Frank. He's with Viral Marketing. He does a lot of work with us. And he's been around the industry for a long time. And I said, Frank, I know you're not a coach, I know you're not a trainer, and I know this is different, because he was there to help teach our agents how to do video marketing and email marketing and so forth, some of which we're going to talk about today. And I said, I'm going to go off the cuff. For anyone that knows Frank, he's been around 20 years, and he works with literally like the best of the best in every market. I said, Frank, I'm going to go off the cuff. I know this isn't in your script. I know you don't have any notes on this. But if you had to tell us 3 things that you've recognized that the top producers do that the rest don't, what would those be? And without skipping a beat, he said top producers know exactly how many contacts they have to make, and they focus on one thing, and that's making contacts with people every single day, no matter how they get there. Now, he went on to say some of them do it through video. Some of them do it through hiring an ISA. Some of them do it from being the prospector themselves. But without even thinking about it, the very first thing he said was they're fanatical about their daily contacts. Real estate is a contact sport, right? Think about all the contacts I had to make in order to go on 246, 247 appointments. It's a lot of contacts. All right, let's move over here. And, Miss, your first name?
Lisa.
Lisa, would you mind taking that one, please?
The more rejection I get, the more money I make.
The more rejection I get, the more money I make. And Lisa, in your mind, what does that mean?
The more no's you get, the closer you are to a
Yes, the more no's you get, the more closer you are to a yes. Absolutely. It also means, and a lot of people forget about this, also, Lisa, the more no's you get means the better you get, right? People often forget that when you're getting rejected and you're overcoming objections and you're having tough discussions, you're actually getting better. You're building your skills for the next call. So yes, while every no brings you closer to a yes, you're also actually improving your skills for that next call, for that next appointment. The more rejection I get, the more money I make was also written out on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. I remember black Sharpie marker, one piece of tape, and it was hanging right above my phone. And it was probably hanging there for 7 years, maybe 8 years. And it just reminded me every single time I'm going to pick that phone up, I'm going to get rejected. It's just a reminder, Jeff, you pick me up, you're going to get rejected. Awesome. But you know what? The more rejection I get, the more money I make. Think back to my 246 appointments gone on. All right, I had 147 or so sellers sign with me. Basically, 100 sellers didn't sign with me. 100 sellers looked me in the eye, shook my hand, and said, that was great, we'll let you know. 100 sellers looked me in the eye, shook my hand, and said, Jeff, you are the front runner. Like, man, I don't know how I don't know how you do it. You are such a hard worker, and this was great. Just give us a few days. 100 sellers looked me in the eye and said, Jeff, this is perfect, and we just got to work out a few things around the house, and within the next week, you've got our listing. 100 sellers looked me in the eye and said that, and then no callbacks, no responses. Sorry, something came up, we went in a different direction. Oh, we sold it on our own, right? Which, by the way, the great thing about the next market, less for sell-by-owners actually sell on their own. So for those of you that want to work for sell-by-owners, huge opportunity in this next market. Thank you for that, Lisa. All right, let's move to this one. Miss, your first name?
Megan?
Megan, would you mind taking that one, please?
Actions speak louder than words, but results speak louder than actions.
Actions speak louder than words, but results speak even louder. What does that mean in your mind?
Your actions and your results, you get results due to your actions.
Yeah, you get results due to your actions, and in this business, there's a lot of different activity we can be doing, right? There's busy work, and then there's work that leads to production, right? There's what's called client generation activities, and then client servicing activities. We recommend agents spend about 50% of their day in each. What ends up happening is most agents spend 90 to 95% of their day in client servicing and only 5 or 10% of their day in client generation. Well, you can have the best customer service in the world, but what does it matter if you have no clients, right? It's got to be about half of our day is spent in client generation, half is spent in client servicing. That's why I say break the day up into those parts. Break the morning and the afternoon up that way. Every real estate office has, the 1 or 2 agents that are always busy and buzzing around. They go walking by the copier and papers go flying and they're working on their one deal. No S. That's an agent that, generally speaking, is just busy work, just appearing to be busy, using what's called creative avoidance techniques. We've heard those before, to stay busy and avoiding doing everything they know they need to do in order to hit their goals. So instead, actions speak louder than words, but results speak louder. What actions am I involved in, and what are the results from those actions? Client generation versus client servicing. Thank you for that. Okay, let's move over here. Sir, your first name?
Sonny.
Would you mind taking that one, please?
What we do determines our success, not the market.
What we do determines our success, not the market. What we do. In your mind, what does that mean?
In my mind, it means to have a proactive mentality, not a reactive mentality.
Have a proactive mentality, not a reactive mentality. I love that. In other words, doesn't matter what's going on in the market. Good market, bad market. I had in this last market, so many agents were complaining about how many offers they had to write. Oh my gosh, 3 offers, 4 offers. My response every time was, would you rather it be 2010 when we had like 37 homes to show them, and then the first offer they write, it's a lowball offer, because they have another 37 more to go see if that one doesn't get accepted? By the way, it might not be as extreme as 37, but get ready for that, right? I was telling a group yesterday, if your value before with working with a buyer was to help them secure a home, your new value as part of your new buyer value proposition will be helping them get a good deal on a home. For those of you that have been doing this for a while, you remember that was the value proposition before this last market. You actually would talk about the strategies you use to help the buyers get the best deal on a house. How, for those of you that raise your hands 5 years or less, how backwards is that, right? It's been the opposite. It's been, hey, just so you know, you're going to be overpaying, you're going to be upside down, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, but I'll get you a house. What we do, hopefully, what we do determines our success, not the market. Means it doesn't matter what's going on in the market, we just have to make adjustments. And coming to events, getting out of your box from time to time, leaving Cleveland, Ohio, and going to events is where you're going to learn tricks of the trade on how to do something differently to determine your market, because it doesn't matter what's going on. This is the best market to be in, trust me. You'll see it soon. Okay, let's finish up on the last one. Miss, your first name?
Megan.
Megan, would you mind taking, a lot of Megans today. Would you mind taking that one, Megan?
The moment the commission check becomes more important than the client, you've lost.
The moment the commission check becomes more important than the client, you've lost. And Megan, in your mind, what does that mean?
The moment that the money becomes more important than the person and the moral,
Yeah.
then it's not worth it anymore.
The moment the money becomes more important than anything, then it's not worth it. But your clients can pick up on it when you want it more for you than you want it for them. They can pick up on that, right? I get it. From time to time, we'll have someone change their mind and they'll want out of a deal, or they'll want to take their home off the market, and you're just about ready to put a contract together. By the way, it's human nature to think about the commission that you just lost out on. But so long as you take the approach of, hey, no problem, I'm here to help you get what you want and help you succeed and help you take, help whatever it is, whatever your needs are, I'll do whatever I can to get you out of this deal. As long as you take that approach, you'll get future business from them, you'll get clients for life. If you take the approach of, well, I'm sorry, we have a contract, and they might sue you, and the other broker could sue you, and my broker could sue you, and technically you owe a commission, and I don't know. Guess what? You'll get your commission, but you'll never get a deal from them again. You'll never get a referral from them again, and you'll definitely, probably, most likely have a bad review from them, which could cost you other business as well. So the moment the commission check becomes more important than the client you've lost means that none of this matters. We still have to put them first. All right, let's hear it for everyone that participated. Nice job, guys. Okay. Do me a favor, turn to a clean sheet of paper or draw a line, because we're going to jump into today's discussion. We're talking 5 steps to 15 more sellers. And I'm going to go through some reasons for why what we're covering today is important. If you want to write these down, you can, although for the sake of time, I'm going to go through them fairly quickly. So if there's some that you hear that resonate with you, absolutely write them down. But it's important that you understand the why behind what I'm going to share today is working. And the why behind what I'm going to share today is real for right now. So I wrote down, consumers are savvier today and have more at their fingertips than ever before. Consumers are savvier today. They have more at their fingertips than ever before. By the way, that's the same reason why the value of the CMA, the free CMA, is declining. Right? You putting out an offer, hey, want to know your home's value? That is getting less clicks today than ever before because they can get it on their own. What is on the rise? What would you buy my home for right now? Cash. Whatever that messaging is getting a lot of good responses. The iBuyer type of messaging. Next, consumers expect instant responses, instant results today. Consumers expect instant responses, everything's faster. Everything's moving faster. I mean, think about it. You can literally track your pizza on an app and see it like going through the oven. They want like speed. Everybody wants things happening now. So think about that in your approach, in your marketing, in your presentation. What can you offer that's instant? Next, consumers want more assurance than ever before. And evidence is showing that they're okay with netting less money for the guarantee. iBuyers wouldn't exist today if that weren't the case. I know they're not as big in the Midwest as they are in other parts of the country. But you've got a couple here in Cleveland, a couple broker-owned ones. In Michigan, we've got a few. I've got my own. It's called UPraise. iBuyers wouldn't exist today if watch. You go to present to a seller. Here's the deal. I can get you $240,000 cash in your pocket, and we can close in 7 days, or I can get you $290,000, but it's going to take 30 days, and it's a mortgage. Which would you choose? 1 out of 10 are leaving $40,000, $50,000 on the table and are taking the cash. Why? Because consumers want more assurance today. Next, I wrote down, consumers expect a higher level of professionalism because the amount they are paying us has increased. Consumers expect a higher level of professionalism because the amount they're paying us has increased. Think about it. The average sales price has gone up. You know they know this, and you know they're thinking this too, because they'll say things to you like, oh man, the market's been so hot, I bet you're killing it. AKA, you're getting rich off this market, aren't you? Right? Next, consumers actually trust what they see and read on social media today. Consumers actually trust what they see and read on social media today. Social media for real estate agents used to be a distraction. We used to actually teach agents to not touch social media until the afternoon because it's a distraction. Now we use it as a lead generation tool. What changed? Some people say, well, what changed? Because you could say, well, Jeff, it's about time you got with the times. Thank you. What changed is 5 years ago, consumers used it as a toy. It was like, let's see what's going on, who's getting married, who's having kids, family reunions. Today, people are using it for research. People are using it to get information. I don't know about you guys, but I grew up with parents that watched the dinner time news and the nighttime news. People aren't watching the news as much anymore. They're going to their social media to get their news. Therefore, we have to be there at a high level, which we're going to talk about today. Next, consumers, I hate this one. It's so true, though. Consumers are less loyal to those they've done business with in the past. Consumers are less loyal to those they've done business with in the past. There used to be a database rule. It was called the 10% rule. And basically, the database rule said 10% of your database could transact business with you or refer you if you treat them right. So, for instance, if I have 500 people in my database, there's 50, in theory, there's 50 transactions there. That's been around for years, if you treat them right. Now, that doesn't mean out of 550 people are buying and selling. That means you could get referrals. Some of them will buy or sell. That number, by the way, is now 8%. In talking with top producers across North America and seeing in our own business, that 10% rule is now an 8% rule. Why? Because of some of the things I just shared with you. Consumers today can click around. I promise you, if you've been in the business 12 months or more, you've had this happen. Hey, Jeff, I know you've been a realtor for life. You know, we've bought and sold homes with you. And, you know, we were just driving around and there was this open house and there was a line of people out there. Next thing you know, we're at the kitchen counter talking with the sellers and we know this person and they know this person. And we wrote an offer and we bought their house. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Or this. Jeff, I was clicking around online. Next thing you know, I got like an offer in my inbox. I could not believe that somebody was making me a cash offer without even seeing my house. Next thing you know, they come out and see the house and I've got cash in my hand a week later. I would have never thought that could happen. I wouldn't do that to you, Jeff. You're our realtor for life. Consumers are less loyal today because of some of those other factors I just mentioned, which, by the way, I'm going to give you a solution for that one. We're going to talk about that this morning. Next, consumers don't want to be sold on anything anymore. They want to be able to make an informed decision based on your online reviews. Consumers don't want to be sold on anything anymore. They want to be able to make an informed decision. Now, I actually have written down here, based on what they see and read from other people's experiences, but that's AKA your online reviews. People want to be able to make an informed decision based on what they see and read from other people's experiences. Think online reviews. Okay, the last thing I'm going to leave you before we jump into step one. In this next market, consumers do want a professional salesperson in their corner. In this next market, consumers do want a professional salesperson in their corner who understands today's methods of communicating, marketing, messaging, and transacting business. Consumers do want a professional salesperson in their corner in this new market who understands today's methods of communicating, because there's several ways we can communicate today. Marketing, there's several new ways to market. We're going to talk about these today. Messaging, we're also going to talk about messaging today. And transacting business. They do want a professional salesperson in their corner. So let's jump to step one. Presentation skills. Now, when you see this, you're probably thinking, oh, Jeff, are you going to talk to us all about listing presentation? Well, some of what we're going to cover today is going to help you with your listing presentation, yes. But this is a little different, and you'll see why. Consumers ask their neighbors, their friends, the realtor town cars or whatever realtor looking cars we're driving. And the neighbor, George was my appointment, and George is taking his trash out, and Bob's across the street taking his trash out at the same time. George asked Bob, hey, George, or Bob, whatever, I'm going to be selling my house. We just met with ABC Realty. What do you know about them? Oh, they're great. I see their signs everywhere. Okay, good. That's how they got their confirmation of who they were going to go with back then. Their neighbors, their friends, their relatives, about you and your company, but after you left their house. After. Fast forward 5 years. Consumers Googled and researched you still after you left their home. So now they went to their desktop. Now they went to Google. Now they could maybe pull up your MySpace. For those that remember MySpace, maybe they could pull up your Facebook. They could see a few photos and get an idea. This was 2015. Today, fast forward to right now, consumers are Googling, researching, Facebooking, Instagramming, etc. before they'll meet with you. See the difference? They're doing all this before you get in front of them. Where 5 years ago, 3 years ago, it was after you left their home. Therefore, presentation, not just what you're doing when you're at the table, presentation of who you are, what you represent, is more important now than ever in this industry and in the next market. Because they have everything available to do all the research. You understand that when you meet with a buyer today or a seller today, in most cases, their mind is already like kind of half made up. That wasn't the case 5 years ago. 5 years ago, they interview, and then they make a decision after the interview, and then they ask their neighbors, and then they go online and check out your reviews. Today, they're making up their mind before you even get there. They're stalking you. That's right. So let's talk. That's why presentation made the top 5. So let's talk about presentation. I have 6 questions I want you to write down and reflect on in regards to your presentation. And you're not going to answer these right now. Well, some of you might be able to answer them in your head, but I want you to go back and answer these later this week or this weekend. 6 questions to write down and reflect on in regards to your presentation. Question number 1, ready? What do I represent, and what do I want to be known for? What do I represent, and what do I want to be known for? What do I represent, and what do I want to be known for? In every real estate market across the country, there's a handful of producers that are all known for something. You notice the top producers, they're all known for something. They have something about them that they're known for. They're known for something amongst their peers. They're known for something amongst buyers and sellers. What are you known for? I was in Minneapolis, and there's an agent, really productive agent. His name's Chris Lundahl. He's like the #1 agent in the state of Minnesota. Well, literally, like, he has these billboards where he just extends his arm out, and like that's his thing. And all I had to do when I shared this point, when I said, what do you want to be known for? And I said, let me give you an example. I did this, and everyone in the room knew what I was talking about, because that top producer is known for something in their market. What do you want to be known for? What do you represent? Number 2, what image are you portraying? So you'll write that down as, what image am I portraying, and how could I improve it? What image am I portraying, and how could I improve it? What image am I portraying, and how could I improve it? By the way, every now and then on a break, somebody will come up to me and say, Jeff, if you don't mind me asking, I'm kind of wrestling with that one. What would you consider your image is? Without missing a beat, my response every single time, I'm a professional, skilled salesperson. I'm a professional, skilled salesperson. The value of a professional, skilled salesperson goes up in this next market. So I would consider you don't have to adopt that one, because there's several different ways you can improve your image. But that would be one, of course, if I were asked the question, what my answer would be. Next, I wrote down number 3. Does my image and what I represent match my ideal clientele? Does my image and what I represent match my ideal clientele? If you like working with first-time buyers, am I going to find a lot of first-time buyer stuff on your Instagram? Are you behaving like a first-time buyer? Are you sharing articles that relate to first-time buyers? Do your reviews look like you work with a lot of first-time buyers? In Detroit, obviously the Motor City, we have several agents that have branded themselves as gearheads. Right? They work with people that want to have, 6-car garages and lifts in the garage and all of this stuff. And so they'll literally wear, like, if you were to go get an oil change, you know how they wear all blue and like their name badge is sewn onto the jacket. That's their image. That's how they show up to appointments. That's how they show homes. Their image matches their ideal clientele. Take this a step further. Do your materials match your ideal clientele? Do your materials match your ideal clientele? Do my materials match my ideal clientele? And what I want to show you in the example on the screen is, by the way, this is the front cover and the back of our listing presentations. Notice okay, so you're saying you're okay with losing everything under 350 or 400 and below. Yeah, I am. Well, if that's the case, then you don't need the advice I'm about to give you. But most of us want to work everything. I mean, I'm in Detroit, you're in Cleveland. I mean, my average sales price is like $1.40. And when I say $1.40, I don't mean like 140,000. I mean like $1.40. Like, that's how bad it is. I'm kidding, it's not that bad. It's actually like $2.70 today. Anyways, still barely 300,000. When I'm going on an appointment that looks like a house on the bottom, I don't see anything that talks about first-time buyers. How can you claim you want to work with first-time buyers because that's your passion without anything that talks about how you work with first-time buyers? So, do my materials match my ideal clientele? Give that one some thought. Next, question number 6. Or I'm sorry, question number 5. Yeah, we should be on number 5. Does my marketing match my image and everything I represent? Does my marketing match my image and everything I represent? So once you've determined what your image is, does my marketing match my image and everything I represent? Once you've determined what that is, will everything I find online match your Facebook? Will everything I find on your Instagram match your website? I'm talking fonts, colors, logos, slogans, whatever. It's all got to be consistent. Yesterday, Frank, I'm going to use him as an example again, we talked about how so many consumers are making their decision today before you meet with them. And these are the things that will help you get more people say yes to your appointment or say yes to you still coming out. Because what's happening right now is I'm getting a lot of agents tell me from around the country, especially big teams, Jeff, how are you guys handling appointments set to appointments gone on? It seems like that ratio is dropping. Well, we have to set more appointments to offset that. But it's things like this that I'm talking about that will help you keep more appointments. And then finally, question number 6. Do my online reviews match my ideal clientele? Do my online reviews match my ideal clientele? My online reviews. This will get you an extra listing or 2 this summer if you take my advice on this. Doesn't matter what source of business you work. For sale by owners, first-time buyers, whatever business you work, your online reviews should mention the source of business. So I'll use for sale by owners as a for instance. So we work with a lot of for sale by owners in our market. It's still for us, when I say we take on average, say 75 listings a month, it's still 15 to 20 FSBOs a month. Even in this past market, we were still taking 15 to 20 FSBOs like clockwork every month. Well, here's my recommendation to you, and here's something that helped us convert more FSBOs. When we sell a for sale by owner's house, they're going to be writing reviews about you anyways today, because if you follow our 5-star review program, which I know a lot of you do, we're asking them, could you mention that before we met that you were a for sale by owner and trying it on your own? Oh yeah, Jeff, no problem. I've sold by owner before, but I'd never do it again. That was a nightmare. So glad we found you. Awesome, thank you. Hey, would you mind, Mr. and Mrs. for sale by owner, I appreciate the business and I'm glad it was a great experience. Would you mind doing me a favor when you go to write your online review, because we're going to share with you our 5-star review program, because we're going to send you guys to dinner to a restaurant of your choice for writing reviews on us. So when you go write those reviews, can you mention that you were attempting to sell by owner before we met? Oh, sure, Jeff, no problem. Love to. Love to help you out. Great. Guess what happens now? Now, I work for sale by owners. I mail to for sale by owners. I email to for sale by owners. I call for sale by owners. I text for sale by owners. I do everything I can to get in contact with for sale by owners. And what do? They research me. They check out my Instagram, my Facebook, my social media, and my online reviews. And then all of a sudden, they're seeing, we were once a for sale by owner until we met Jeff. It was the best thing that ever happened to us. We tried selling our home on our own, and we got more money with Jeff than we had ever thought possible. Wow, this guy works with a lot of people like us. It increases their comfort level. What does that do? That's going to increase the chances of the appointment being held. It's going to increase the amount of callbacks that you get. Hey, Jeff, we had 3 realtors that we interviewed. We decided to go with you. Now, you won't ever know why, but I'm telling you, it will help with this. Do your online reviews match your messaging? If you work with first-time buyers, I use that one as a for instance. Have your first-time buyers mention that it was their first home. That's all. Or they can mention that they were shopping on Zillow or Realtor.com before they met you. It will help you convert more buyers. Step number 2. Presentation is important. Don't forget that one. Step number 2. Sales skills. I put together a list of the 11 most important sales skills an agent should possess for this next market. And these 11 are the 11 that we've been focused on in our business this year. There's probably, by the way, and also as we're going through, if you guys have any questions on any of these, feel free to circle it, underline it, star it, do whatever. I do save about 7 to 10 minutes for questions at the end. So just hold all your questions till the end and just circle them, star them, and we'll come back to them. But I put together a list of the 11 most important sales skills an agent should possess in 2022. And before we dig into that one, I do want to do our first giveaway. I want to know who in this room traveled the furthest to get here today. Now, before you raise your hands, I'm going to give away our 2022 Daily Business and Unreal Life Planner. So it's got monthly, quarterly, annual business plan. It's built by real estate agents for real estate agents. And I know a lot of you probably already purchased one of these at some point in time, or get this in our coaching, obviously. So I want to know who in this room traveled the furthest to get here today. Now, again, before you raise your hand, it couldn't be like you just came in on a red eye from Vegas or something like that. Like you actually live the furthest from this location. Who thinks they live the furthest from this location? Real high. All right. Where'd you come from?
Southeast Pittsburgh.
Where?
Southeast Pittsburgh.
Southeast Pittsburgh. Can you beat that? Okay, wait a minute. We're going to have to get some Google Maps out here. Okay, so there are two. Let's go. By the way, the tiebreaker is Google Maps miles. So what city is it?
East Liverpool, Ohio.
All right. And then, sir? Erlanger, Kentucky. You know, we don't have Kentucky on the tour, so that would make sense that we might have someone come up. You know I'm going to be in Cincinnati on Friday, right?
I go to UC, but it's my grandma's birthday, so I came up.
Oh, good. All right, good. Well, hold on. That's good. I'm glad you're here for your grandma's birthday. Are you here for this and your grandma's birthday? Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for coming up. So I'm going to give 2 away then. You're still going to get one because you drove the furthest, but I know you're also here for your grandma's birthday. So who was that? Who's within where she's at and where she's at? Do we have anyone further than like 2.5 hours? Okay. Sir, your first name?
Noah.
Noah? Let's hear it for Noah. Thanks for being here, Noah. Can you pass that down? All right, now we got to do some math here. We got some miles. Can you map it to your home? Can you map it to your home from here? Just put in your home address from this location. And just, when you got it, just shout out how many miles you are from home. Just do Google Maps.
159.8.
159.8. Oh, this is, what do you guys think is further? Do you think she's further? 99. Still good. Still good. Thank you for driving 99 miles. And miss, your first name?
Stephanie.
Stephanie, thanks for being here. Let's hear it for Stephanie. Thanks for making the drive. Okay, step 2. Sales skills. Skill number 1, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one because we already did, but I am going to show you a copy of my schedule here in a second. Skill number 1, for right now, the ability to manage your time, comma, especially in the morning. The ability to manage your time, comma, especially in the morning. For years, people have said, can we see what Jeff's schedule is? This is the exact schedule that I followed from 2008, that first year I sold 100 homes, until about 2016, 2017. Because, of course, I started doing a lot more of this. So I'm still selling between 75 and 100, but of course, after doing it for so long, you get a lot of what's called lap business. Business that just starts to fall in your lap. But while I was growing my business, this was my schedule. And I know we have Taylor in the room in the back. I know you're busy working, Taylor, but I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here for a second. So when I travel to different cities, we'll have different people in the back of the room. Of course, Taylor and Anthony also checked you in as well, so I don't know where he's at, but Anthony could probably attest to this as well. Taylor, you've been working with me for almost 10 years now. Yeah. And when I share with people, own the morning, win the day, and I say things like, don't go on appointments in the morning, don't have closings in the morning, a lot of people think, well, yeah, right, he's just supposed to say that. He's just saying that. So you've been with me 9 years. If somebody wants to have their closing in the morning, what's your response?
Unfortunately, Jeff is already booked, but he's available anytime between noon and 2.
All right, so let's say a seller wanted to list their home at 9 a.m. What's the response?
Absolutely, I'm happy to set up a time anytime between 5:30 and 8 to meet with Jeff.
Okay, let's say a buyer said, well, we want to do our walkthrough before our closing. What's the response?
We would either send a showing agent,
Mm-hmm.
or you would, again, anytime between 5 and 8.
Yep, in the afternoon or evening.
Yep.
So are you saying that we probably lost some business from time to time because of that?
Absolutely.
So absolutely, we lost business from time to time because of how strict I was for my morning routine. But because I was strict with my morning routine, I still did 100 deals because I was strict. Sure, I lost a handful here and there of people that were like, well, if you can't meet in the morning, then I'm sorry. And don't get me wrong, there's exceptions to the rule. Relocation, coming in, or something like that. Unique circumstances. But at the end of the day, this was it. This was the same exact schedule that I followed that got me 100 plus sales per year. In fact, in our best year, now at this point in time, I added a showing agent, her, and an ISA. In our best year, how many homes?
224?
227. 227 closings in our best year, following this schedule. So it wasn't an appointment a day, it was 2 appointments a day. It was intense, but it worked. And so if you're comfortable basically not having a life or any balance or being out of shape, then that's the schedule for you. No, I'm kidding. No, actually, you'll see in there, I build in time to work out. The problem is I just eat too much steak and drink too much beer. That's my problem. Okay, number 2. The ability to contact prospects today, thank you, Taylor. The ability to contact prospects today through all methods, the ability to contact prospects today through all methods. And I'll share them with you. Most of you are familiar with them, but I want to make sure you're using all of them at a high level. The ability to contact prospects today through all methods. So what are those methods? Obviously, phone calls, texting, emailing, private message, PM, direct message, DM, direct mail, door knock. Phone calls, texting, emailing, private message, direct mail, and door knock. Those are the methods of reaching out to people today. How many of those are you using? If I want an expired bad enough, you better believe I'm going to find them on social media. And then I'm going to see if I have mutual friends with them. I'm going to put my mutual friend, I'm going to reach out to the mutual friend and say, hey, I'm trying to reach Johnny. His house just came off the market. Can you put us in a group chat? Sure, Jeff, love to, no problem. Hey, Johnny, this is Jeff. He's been my realtor for years. Whatever he says, listen to him. Well, I have to do the group chat strategy because otherwise I'm going to end up in their spam mail, in their spam box. Right, the little circle that never fills in because it's unread or it doesn't get delivered. Call, text, email, private message, direct mail, and door knock. The ability to contact prospects through all methods today. Number 3, the ability to close for an appointment when an appointment is available. The ability to close for an appointment when an appointment is available. We've been taught to close for an appointment every time you can. You get them on the phone, you close for an appointment. You're doing lead follow-up, you're closing for appointments. That's traditional selling. Today's consumer is too savvy for that. So instead, I want you to reverse your thinking on this because those of you who've been doing this for a while, you've been taught, always close for an appointment, always close for an appointment, always close for an appointment. No. You're going to go after their motivation first. You're going to figure out their motivation and their timeline first, and then you're going to make a decision whether it makes sense to close for an appointment or not. Focus on their motivation and their timeline, and you'll get further than the guy just following a script, asking questions, and closing for an appointment. Because during that process, I'm building rapport. And guess what? Motivated prospects love working with motivated agents, right? If your motivation is up here and they're up here, then you're good. You can close for an appointment all day. They love that. But if they're not that motivated right now, they will be, but they're not right now. If their motivation is here, if they're a 5 on a scale from 1 to 10, then you need to meet them where they're at. You need to be a 5 on a scale from 1 to 10 as well. Even though you might naturally be a 7, an 8, or a 9, or a 10, you're a 5 on a scale from 1 to 10 because that's where they're at. So you're going to set them up on a drip campaign, or you're going to schedule a time to follow up. You're going to get their permission to follow up. Do not close for an appointment on every single person you talk to. It'll cost you a lot of future business. Instead, Prospect for motivation first, close second moving forward. You'll do more business that way. Skill number 4, the ability to keep following up even when they're not getting back to you. The ability to keep following up even when they're not getting back to you. We follow a simple lead follow-up rule. Now remember, the difference between this point, or the difference between the last point and what I'm about to share with you, is this is for people we haven't gotten in touch with yet. The last point is for people that we do reach. So what I'm about to share may seem pretty aggressive. That's because I'm trying to get in touch with them. The last point was designed for people that I've already been in touch with, people that I've already spoken to. And we've been teaching this for years. It's worked successfully for us, and it still works successfully, maybe even more successfully today than ever before. And that is a 3-3-3 rule. We call it the 3-by-3-by-3 rule. Now there's actually 4 threes, but it's like a tongue twister to say the fourth one, so we just call it the 3-by-3-by-3 rule. But there's actually 4 of them. So write down 4 threes. 3-by-3-by-3-by-3. Okay, and this is a simple lead follow-up formula that we use when following up with all prospects. Doesn't matter whether it's an internet lead, a seller, a buyer lead, doesn't matter where they came from, what source it is. This is the process that we follow. 3 calls, 3 text messages, and 3 emails, all within 3 days. 3 calls, 3 text messages, 3 emails in 3 days. Now, some people look at that and say, well, gosh, Jeff, that's pretty aggressive. That's like 9 reach outs in 3 days. Well, first of all, you don't always get to 9 because they respond. Okay, but yes, if they're not responding in 3 days, then you're going to hit 9. Why do we do that? This number right here, the number 5. Anyone familiar with what that number is? Okay, there's a very recent study done on specifically internet leads. So buyer leads, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, whatever. I believe it was MIT or Harvard, one of the bigger universities, that did a study on internet leads. Thousands of internet leads, thousands of scenarios. And here's what they found. You can Google it, by the way. You would just Google search, internet lead study. It'll come up, internet lead sales study. 5 is the average number of attempts it took before they responded. 5 is the average number of attempts that it takes before the consumer responds. So here's where there's a disconnect. And here's why there's so many more leads than there are sales that take place. What do most salespeople do? Jeff, I called them, I texted them, I emailed them. That's kind of a lot. That's kind of aggressive. I don't want to bother them. Well, wait a minute. If you just call, text, and email, then you're getting to 3. The average consumer responds after 5. So that means some of them, by the way, will respond after 2 or 3, and that's great. We love when that happens. But what about the rest? They're responding to someone else who is willing to follow some type of lead follow-up protocol. 3 calls, 3 texts, 3 emails in 3 days. Now, when you look at this, by the way, it's not like, all right, I call, it is 10:30 on Wednesday. I'm going to call them at 10:30. I'm going to call them at 10:35. I'm going to call them at 10:40. That's what you mean, Jeff, right? No. Okay? I'm going to call them at 10:30. I'm going to text them to let them know that I called them. A couple hours goes by, no response, no problem. I'm going to shoot them an email. Hey, it's lunchtime. I got an hour or so right now. If by chance you happen to be available, if I caught you at work, no problem, just let me know. No response. Okay, no problem. Now this is where most agents give up. But I need to get to 5. So I'm going to wait until about dinner time. I'm going to call them. No answer. Okay, you know what? I'm going to leave them alone for the day. I'm going to wait till the next morning. I'm going to shoot them a text. Hey, I called you a few times and sent you an email. By chance, I know you're interested in this property. I've got it ready to go for us this weekend if you want to see it. No response. Okay, no problem. I'll wait until 3 or 4 o'clock. I'll send them another email. Hey, just let me know. I know you're busy. Life gets in the way sometimes. I'm ready to go when you are. No response. Day 3. I call, I text, I email one last time. Hey, this is Jeff Glover. I've been reaching out to you a few times. I don't want to bother you. I don't mean to be a pest. Things are moving really quickly today, and what we find is the most motivated sellers and the most motivated buyers work with motivated agents. And so I've been trying to show you my ability to follow up. Hey, Jeff, thanks for getting back to us. I know, sorry, the last couple days have been hectic. We'd love to see that house this weekend. It's amazing how that works. They weren't responding the first 3 or 4 times, but on the 5th, 6th, or 7th attempt, they will. So if you just take one thing away from today, moving forward with all of your leads, implement the 3x3x3 rule. You will see a higher level of conversion. It's very intense, and it's very upfront. It's within 3 days, right? I know there's other methods that are out there. Now, by the way, some people say, well, what happens if you do this and nothing happens? I have the mentality, and for those of you who've been following me for a while, I call it a trash can mentality. And that means they're in the trash can. That lead is out of sight, out of mind. I might set them up on a soft drip campaign, but for the most part, if that comes back to me, that's just bonus business. That's just gravy. They're done. They're gone. 3x3x3 in 3 days, they don't respond to that, they're out. I got enough context that I need to make. So the ability to keep following up even when they're not getting back to you is going to be an important sales skill, not just for right now, but in the next market. Number 5. The ability to spend time preparing pre-appointment packages. The ability to spend time preparing pre-appointment packages. In the last market, we didn't need these. In the last market, it was just kind of gravy. It was just kind of nice. In this next market, remember, they're going to get more critical. So somebody asked me, I don't know where, I think it was in Tulsa. Somebody said, well, Jeff, can you tell us why, this is a question at the end, why are consumers going to be more critical in this next market? Well, because think about it for a second. If the market's hot and they know pretty much every listing is selling, right? They know they can put a home on the market and it's going to sell for 187% of the asking price in like 32 seconds. Every seller has known that was the case. So think about this for a moment. If they knew that that's what was happening in the market, it didn't really matter who they went with, did it? It didn't matter who they hired. An uncle, a cousin, a neighbor, someone just got their license, let's do this guy a favor, he's going to cut us a break and the market's going to sell anyways, or the market's going to sell the house anyways. They didn't have to be as critical about who they were hiring. Well, when the market softens, remember our value goes up, yes, however, the perception of the consumer is we need a more talented agent. We need a better agent. We need a skilled professional because it wasn't so easy to get a list. It's not so easy to get a listing sold now. It's not so easy to get a great deal on a house. So therefore, pre-appointment packages. So what should be in your pre-appointment package? We'll call this 5A, a professional folder with a cover letter. 5A, professional folder with a cover letter. Most of you already do that. The cover letter should talk about what's going to happen at the appointment. 5B is your listing plan of action. Your listing plan of action. Essentially what you're going to present on the appointment, everything you do to sell homes. Your listing plan of action. 5C should be your home sale timeline. Home sale timeline, meaning you're letting them know approximately how long it's going to take to transact the sale of their home in advance. Home sale timeline. Do we have any attendees in the room today that have been through our Listing Mastery course? Show of hands if you've been through Listing Mastery. Okay, good, about half dozen of you. So in Listing Mastery, we teach you to put the home sale timeline right into your listing presentation. And the reason why we do that, and also we send it out in advance, is because the home sale timeline creates urgency. The home sale timeline removes this response in a lot of cases. Well, you know, things are moving so fast, we just need a little bit more time to talk about it. Well, things are moving so fast, we just need a little bit of time to think about it. Well, things are moving so fast, we got to do a few things around the house before we get it on the market. That's a very common response we get from sellers when we go on appointments. Why is that? Here's why. They think, even in this market right now, because the data hasn't caught up yet, so they still think things are hot, which is why the skill of pricing property is a big one today. The skill of getting great price reductions and pricing property, we'll talk about that in a little bit. You have to understand, they think when you come out, that if they sign with you, they're going to be packing boxes and moving in like 2 weeks. They honestly think that it's moving that fast that they're going to be moving in a couple weeks. They have a conversation before you get there. It's kind of like this. All right, no matter what he says, you follow me, you're with me on this? No matter what he says, we're not signing anything. Okay? They have this conversation before you get there. You got me? We're not signing anything. Okay? Because we're not ready to move yet. We're not ready to do this. So the home sale timeline not only educates them, but it reverses that when you're there. Watch, for those that aren't familiar with it. Okay? So it's, by the way, before it was in our pretty, listing presentations folder at the bottom, I took out an active or sold comp and I just flipped it over. I did this for years. Now it's pre-printed, so I just write in the dates. So I'll say something effective. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, are you aware how long it's taking to get a home sold today? Well, we know things are moving pretty fast, Jeff. Oh yeah, things are moving pretty quickly. So watch this. Today is the, 22nd of June. June 22nd. And I'll say something to the effect of, assuming you're comfortable with everything I say tonight, I've got everything here ready to go to get started. And most people hire me on the spot, and that may or may not be the case, but let's just assume you're comfortable with everything I have to say. So we're going to put start right here. Now, by the time our photographer gets here and we talk about staging and so forth, it's going to take a good 3-5 business days before you're live on the market. So let's just say we can get you live on 6/28. Okay? That's live. You're on the market. And the good news is, yes, things are still moving fast. Unfortunately, or fortunately, not as fast as they were. The market's still good. It's not a bad market. It's a good market. It's just not as hot as it was. We just don't have the frenzy that we used to have. So therefore, it might take us a couple weekends to get your listing sold instead of a couple hours. So let's just say, in theory, to be safe, we're going to have your listing under contract, we'll say 7, 10, that's a couple weeks. So I'm going to write pending. And Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you know how long it takes to close today? Oh, I don't know, a month? Yeah, sure, 30, 40 days. So in case there's an inspection or appraisal issue, let's just say 40 days to be safe. That puts us at 8/20 close. And do you guys have rent back here in Ohio? Use and occupancy is what we call it in Michigan. So I can get you a month in the home after closing, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. So now you're actually not even moving until September the 20th. And you said you wanted to be settled in time for the school year? What does it do? In their mind, it creates urgency. We better get moving then. So watch this. You sign with me tonight. It sells, we get it on the market fairly quickly. It sells pretty quickly. It closes in the regular time frame. I get you 30 days in the home after closing. You're not actually moving until the end of September. Now, in today's immediate market right now, listing appointments I'm going on right this moment, I'm adding this to it. And guess what? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, add this to your repertoire. Right now, we're experiencing something interesting in the market that we haven't seen in several years. And we know prices are about to come down. Now, I'm going to stop the role play there for a second because you hear that from people and you're like, Jeff, I see stuff that says the average price is up 6%. I see stuff that says the average price is up 7%. That's because it's always based on year over year. So it's the middle of June. Your June stats aren't out yet. Your June stats will be out in July. So all we have to go on is May stats. May stats said that home prices were up. Well, sure they did. If something closed in May, when did it go pending? In March or April. That was the old market. So, by the way, year over year, Jeff, prices are still up 6%, 7%, 8%, whatever the number is. Well, that's because they went up substantially all of last year, and they're starting to trail off. Weren't they at one point in time in your market, you had market stats, I guarantee you, that had double-digit increases, 11, 12, 15, 16%, January over January, 12, 13%. Why is it only 5% now? Because since January, they've started to do this. Don't believe me? Log into your MLS and look at how many expireds and price reductions you have every day. So jumping back into the role play, So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you actually have the best of both worlds right now. This is a script that's only good for about 30 days. I'm using it right now. I used it just a couple days ago. I'll use it this weekend when I get back in town. I'll have 2 or 3 appointments. This script is only good for the next 30, 45 days. Watch. You could put your home on the market now before the data shows that prices are falling. Therefore, because when the data shows that prices are falling, the market's going to get softer. That's what's going to lead to a softer market. Right now, it's just buzz. It's just inflation, interest rates, gas. No one's actually talking about home values yet. Just wait until they start talking about home values coming down. I know inventory is going up. I know sales are down, but no one's talking about prices coming down. Just wait until they do. What does that do? That causes fear. What does fear do? Fear causes people to act. And people are going to get off the fence and get their home on the market so they can get their equity out. Just watch. You'll experience it in probably August or September. You'll remember this conversation. So what I'll say to a seller right now is you have the best of both worlds. You have an opportunity to get top dollar in this zone before there's any talk of prices coming down, which will cause them to come down, and you get to shop when everything starts coming on the market. You have the absolute best of both worlds right now, and your window of opportunity is only about 30 days. And I'll say, now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, please know, I get it. I'm a salesperson. So you think I'm supposed to create urgency to cause you to want to sign with me now. I get it. I'm sharing this with you because this is what we're experiencing in the market today. Every economic indicator that we're paying attention to is telling us that this is what's going to happen. By the way, if you're wondering, what economic indicators are you talking about, Jeff? Ready? You guys use showing time? Just go to showing time. Look at your showings per listing. Look at your price reductions. Look at your expired listings. Just go ahead and ask your lender, how are new purchase applications doing? New listings coming on the market. That's what's really happening. Forget the market data and market stats. Price reductions, expireds, showing activities from showing time, that'll tell you what's going on in real time. So now I can say to the seller, we've got a unique situation here where you have a window of opportunity to get your home on the market and under contract before prices do this, so we can maximize your equity. And want to know the best part? You get to shop in July and the first half of August when all those homes start coming on the market. Are you ready to put me to work for you? Of course, if I was ready to close for a signature, that would be my close. So make sure you're including a home sale timeline in every single appointment you go on right now. 5D, a copy of your online reviews. We're going to take a break in just a second. Copy of your online reviews. 5E, your seller's disclosure statements or your state disclosure statements. And 5F is your What Happens Next book. Your What Happens Next book. Basically, everything that's going to take place from the time they go under contract to the time the sale closes. We call that the What Happens Next book. Now, if everyone could do me a favor real quick, turn to the second to last page in your workbook. I want to share this with you before the break. I know a lot of you are already planning on coming up to our event in Traverse City, and I had a gentleman tell me this morning, which happens often, hey Jeff, I was already planning on coming, but I know you always give us a deal at these half-day sessions, which we do. And we want you to take advantage of it. Second to last page, it should say Live Unreal Retreat 2022 at the top of your page. So we put on 2 main events per year. One in the middle of summer in northern Michigan, which is a nice, easy drive for you guys. By the way, we have 850 to 900 people. Majority of them, aside from the Michigan and Ohio folks, are flying in. The nice thing is you guys just get to drive up there, right? So you don't have to worry about buying a plane ticket. We're spending 3.5 days together with one focus and one focus only, and that is taking listing inventory. In fact, it's been 3 years since I've done a live listing presentation from the stage. I'll be doing that. It's been updated for this next market. We have one-on-one interviews taking place. We have panelists selected. We have top producers from all over the Midwest and North America that are using our system at a high level and having a lot of success with it. And we get to have a lot of fun too. I mean, if you got anyone been to Traverse City, Michigan, or been to our events, Traverse City, okay, it's gorgeous up there, right? In the summer, 78 and sunny, and like all wineries and beautiful blue water and beaches, and it's awesome up there. Well, anyways, I'm going to do something special for you guys. So as you can see here, we've got a schedule Monday through Thursday. We've also added a mastermind. So if you've been to our Traverse City event before, we did not have that mastermind on Thursday. For this type of event, most people are like, what is this, like $900, Jeff? $1,000, $1,500? Nope. Right now, the public is paying $449. Everyone in this room today and everyone on the virtual who's watching us live stream gets a nice little discount. And if you flip to the next page, you'll see that. You're getting $150 off. So if you're on the virtual or you're in Cleveland, your $449 ticket is now $299 for 3.5 days of full content. And I'm talking like literally, we have coffee with coaches that starts at 7:30 every morning and we go until 5:30. Now, of course, there's fun and there's so forth. There's other things that you get to do there. But I know a lot of our folks that are going to come up to Traverse City are from Ohio and are from Cleveland, so you're going to have a lot of friends there, a lot of agents from other brokerages as well. To take advantage of this price, there's just one catch, and that is you have to turn this form in today. So you fill it out, you tear it out, fold it in half, and you're going to turn it into Taylor or Anthony either on the break or at some time between now and the time we leave. For the folks that are on the live stream, I believe you can just scan the QR code. Does that sound right? Yep, if you're on the live stream, you can scan the QR code. If you're in this room here, you're just going to fill this out, fold it in half, and turn it in sometime between now and before we leave today. You'll have a chance on the break, and you'll have a chance at the end about 12:10, 12:15. Now, because we know a lot of you have already registered for this, I still want you to sign your form and turn it in because it's possible that you paid more. And so if you paid more, we're going to refund you the difference. So if you're in this room and you're like, Jeff, I already signed up. If you paid more than $299, turn in your form. We will refund you the difference because you're here today as a thank you for being here. Now, the last thing I want to say before we take a break is for the 80% of you that raised your hands when I asked the question, and for those on the live stream that's never been to any of our events before, the number one question we get is, all right, Jeff, I'm considering it, but I want to know, what's it really like at your events, right? Like, of course you're biased. You're going to say what it's like. So we asked our video team to capture some footage of what we do. I want to show what takes place at our events. And so in a second, they're going to play, it's a 90-second video. We're not going to bore you for 5 minutes or anything like that. In a second, they're going to play the video, and at the conclusion of the video, we're going to start our break, and we'll be back right at the top of the hour. And we'll be around for questions as well. So if you guys got the video, let's watch it, and then we'll take a quick break. Here's what we're going to be doing this summer in Traverse City.
What started as an event exclusively for our team has since been open to the public. Why would I do this? The answer is simple. My passion for training and coaching others to accomplish what we've accomplished has exceeded all other passions in my life.
I absolutely love everything that they stand on, everything that they represent. Jeff and his team do everything in excellence. I've been to many conferences throughout my 12-year career, and this is one of the best I've ever attended.
I'm in this room, and I'm wondering, all right, why should I pay attention to what this guy has to say? Or why should I pay attention to what's going on here on the stage? And that's for one reason and one reason only, because I'm on the ground with you.
Not only are they coaching it, but these guys are doing it.
Top amazing agents around the United States come together and can learn from some of the best people that Jeff has on stage.
If we can put on an unreal experience, meaning an experience so amazing it's almost unbelievable, well then people will continue to come back, so therefore we can pour into them to live their most unreal lives. You're going to know exactly what you need to do, or you're already going to have acquired the skills necessary to make 2022 your best year ever.
There's a reason why we're the fastest growing training and coaching company on the planet.
It's all about not reinventing the wheel. It's finding those certain things that work with your process and being true to yourself and putting those into play and helping as many clients as you want. And Glover U gets me back on track with that.
I loved the featured speakers that they brought on. The content was so incredibly relevant to what we're dealing with today as real estate professionals. And I recommend to anybody, if you're looking to get into an organization, a coaching program that really touches on what is going to get you to the next level with what you're competing with today, then this is definitely where you need to be.
So let's get moving. We did have a few questions on the break that I want to address because chances are if you are thinking it, somebody else might be thinking it as well. And this is a very common one that we get in our audiences, especially when we know we have a lot of clients in the room. And that is, if I'm in your coaching programs already, isn't my price for the ticket less? And the answer is yes. So if you are actively in a group coaching client and you're in this room, still turn in your form and just write on there group client, and we'll know to do the difference. So the group client price, by the way, is $225. So if you're a group coaching client in this room, meaning active, like this year, still turn in your form, and we'll just write on there group, so we know to give you the group price. That was one question we had. Another question we had, which is fine. I mean, I don't normally get it in cities that are about 6 hours away from Traverse City, because if you did the math, it's about 6 hours away. Can I fly into Traverse City? And absolutely, you can fly into Traverse City, although you guys live in a city where your airport basically has a layover anywhere you go, which means that you will have a layover getting to Traverse City, and it will be in Detroit. So my recommendation is, if you actually wanted it to be most efficient, although it might cost you a few bucks, you could drive to Detroit and then fly to Traverse City, because it's about a 3.5 hour drive from Detroit, right? 3.5 plus 2.5, that makes 6. So you can fly right into Traverse City if you're like, hey, I don't like being in the car for 6 hours. Cool, go ahead and fly. I mean, we got 700 or 800 people that are going to be flying in. That's no problem. The airport code is TVC. I had another gentleman ask, what's the name of the resort that the event takes place at? The name of the resort that the event takes place at, thank you, sir, is the Grand Traverse Resort. The Grand Traverse Resort. And we have negotiated a room rate of $239 per night, although I will tell you it is getting pretty full. And my recommendation to you would be perhaps consider staying on the water, on the lake. We have a shuttle that will that's basically running from 6 in the morning until like 9 at night, every 10 minutes. Last year, for those of you that stayed at the off-site location, the shuttles ran every 20 minutes. This time, they're going to run every 10. And you're going to be, 15 minutes from the venue by shuttle. We're taking care of the shuttle. But you'll get to stay on the bay, which is gorgeous. If you go to gloverview.com/retreat, the hotel information is on there, and that's how you can get the rate of $239 a night if you're just one of those and you prefer to stay on the property, which is fine. Somebody also asked the question, is this a very team-friendly, like could I bring my team? Absolutely. In fact, the majority of our audience is solo agents, agents leading teams, and then agents on teams. That is really the core of our audience. So whether you're on a team or not, absolutely, this is a great place to bring your team. And if you're doing so, I encourage you to take advantage of the Sunday Fun Day activities. We actually organize activities for you, right? We pay for them in advance to have shuttles pick you up and take you to go either wine tasting or kayaking or golfing or whatever. There's a lot to do up there. And even if you don't do the extra activities, one night we have shuttle buses, takes everyone into downtown Traverse City. The next night we have shuttle buses, takes people to wineries. So it's a lot of activities, yes. Somebody asked a question, can I talk to someone at home and let you guys know? And I forgot to mention that, so forgive me. The answer is absolutely yes. So I want to make sure I point something out, and maybe you can help me. On the registration form, on the registration form, there is a sentence at the bottom in bold. There it is. Would you mind reading that nice and loud for us where it says refund policy?
Refund policy. Refunds are available for 14 days after date of purchase.
Refunds are available for up to 14 days after date of purchase. So you have 14 days from today to talk to someone at home, figure out your travel plans, check in with the hotel, figure out if you want to go up Saturday and make a weekend out of it, or go up Friday or whatever. You have 14 days to figure all that out. I point that out because 80% of you raised your hand when I asked who's been to one of our events before, or who hasn't been to one of our events before. So I get it. You've never met me before. This is the first time hearing this stuff. Hey, Jeff, I can't make this kind of a decision on like 3 hours of notice. I got to figure things out. I got to talk to someone at home. I got to check my finances. You have 14 days to cancel. No penalties, no question asked. And last but not least, I know I'm biased, and the people that, of course, made that video are biased, but we have a good amount of you in the room that have been to our events before, and I'd love to hear from everyone, but the reality is we got to get back into the content. So I've identified 3 people, and I'm going to kind of put them on the spot, so I didn't really prepare you for this, and I want you to just share, like 30 seconds or less, what your experience has been at our events. So we're going to start with Amanda. Amanda, would you mind sharing with the audience what your experience has been so far?
So my name is Amanda Gordon with Keller Williams. So I will tell you, hands down,
Awesome. Thank you for that, Amanda. Appreciate that. I'll get you the $100 later. Kidding. Carl, would you mind sharing your experience? You came up to me first thing this morning, shook my hand, and said, Jeff, I don't know if you know this, but this is what's happened in my business since I've gone to your events. Can you share?
Yeah, I was in Orlando in January, and that was my first event that I went to. And there was so many speakers and so many panelists that you get so much information from. There were probably over 100 different ideas. Implemented a few of those ideas. And,
yep.
And just this last month, my GCI, just for the month of May, was over 50,000.
Best month ever, right?
Best month ever.
50,000 in GCI in the month of May. Nice job. Let's hear for that. That's big.
I'll be sure to go into Traverse City in August too, because we continue with this. It's real-time stuff, and what Jeff teaches, it really does work.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that, Carl. Appreciate that. And last but not least, a staple at our events, Amanda. Do you mind sharing?
Yes. Okay.
I didn't even prep you for this, so you just know it's probably coming.
So our team has been going, we feel like we're original club alumni.
You are. Come on, that's all right.
We started, I would say 5 years ago, 6 years ago in Mommy, and it started with just
Mommy Bay, that's right.
as my admin, and it's just developed into more and more of our team going to both the events, Florida, and into Michigan. I think what I love about it is the intimate kind of setting. There's a lot of people there, but it's a really high level of content and people. And also, I said to Jeff today, I said, your lineup of coaches is like top notch. So what you're getting and being just in the room with some of his coaches as well, obviously, as him and Taylor, is like priceless. So we always do our best to attend the events, and the return on investment is like none other because they're very affordable.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. And yes, she brought up, that's a good point. Our very first Live Unreal retreat was here in Maumee Bay. And I know it's a little bit of a drive, but trust me when I tell you, it's a little bit better than Maumee Bay. All right, there's a reason why we haven't gone back. Now, I will say this. They have renovated the hotel, they tell us. Because every year they call us and try to get us, hey, would you guys mind moving your retreat back to Maumee Bay? Have you guys renovated the property yet? Oh, yeah, it's under renovations right now. Anyways, okay. Let's pick up where we left off. Thank you, guys. That was very kind of you. Number six, the ability to practice and role play no matter how good or experienced you are. The ability to practice and role play no matter how good or experienced you are. For 7 years straight, I had a role play partner. 7 years. Role play partners from all over the country. Several from Ohio. I think that one of my longest standing role play partners was Michael Kame. This was years ago. This was like 10 years ago. And we had a call every Tuesday at 7:15. Hey, Mike, this is Jeff Glover. I'm just calling. I noticed your home came off the market as an expired listing. I'm wondering what your plans are with the property. We go right into the script. Every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday, I had a role play partner. Why? Because so long as we have listing presentations and buyer consultations, consumers are making a decision on who they're going to hire based on how we make them feel. This is for everyone that's thinking, Jeff, it's 2022. We don't need to role play anymore. There's like Facebook and stuff. Watch. For the foreseeable future, we're going to have listing presentations and buyer consultations. And so long as we do, buyers and sellers are going to make a decision to work with us based on how we make them feel. Well, how do you make someone feel a certain way that you don't know? Based on what you say. And the scripts are all designed to make the customer feel good about working with you. The scripts are all designed to make the seller feel good about signing with you. That's why we update our scripts every 18 to 24 months, because the market and the industry is changing, and we have to make sure we're staying current with our scripts. And so therefore, the ability to practice and role play every single day, no matter how good or experienced you are. You saw it in my schedule. It was there every day. All right? I'll get in the pit from time to time with our inside sales associates and role play with them as well. I did it for years. Why? Because everyone's making a decision who they're going to hire based on how we make them feel. Unless you're only working with friends and family, you're going to be up against competition because your friends and family will hire you maybe no matter what you say. But last time I checked, there's two types of people in this world. People you know, people you don't know. Which group is bigger? The group of people that you don't know. So if we're going to make a decision to work with the people that we don't know, which if we want to sell 50, 75, 100 plus homes a year, it's going to have to come from that group, then we have to get good at what we say so that they're more likely to say yes to us. Number 7, the ability to identify the communication style of the prospect and adapt to them right away. The ability to identify the communication style of the prospect and adapt to them right away. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go through the entire DISC profile with you, but what I do want to do is give you an example of, in fact, we're going to dig deeper into this in Traverse City because it's a very important one in a softer market. Because why? Consumers interview more. So if they're going to be interview more, then remember what I said earlier, it's actually going to get technically more competitive. Yes, there's less competition, but the competition that makes it through are your best agents. So what I want you to do, if you have a clean sheet of paper or at least half of your page left, you'll have enough room. Do me a favor and draw a big plus sign. All you need is about half sheet of paper, or take up a full page if you want. Draw a big plus sign. And on the left-hand side, write the letter D. On the right-hand side, the letter I. Bottom right, S. Bottom left, C. D-I-S-C. Again, most of you are familiar with the DISC, so I'm not going to give you a lesson. If you want a 60-minute lesson, you can find it. There's one out there on the internet that I did about 5 years ago. Just search Jeff Glover personality styles or Jeff Glover communication styles. It will come up. So what I want you to do at the top half here, I want you to write the word fast. Write the word fast. Bottom down here, I want you to write the word slow. Left-hand side, I want you to write the word think. Right-hand side, I want you to write the word feel. Fast, slow, think, feel. And the reason why I'm having you do that, and by the way, if you're kind of wondering, like, hey, refresh our memories real quick, the D is what's considered the driver, dominant, forceful. The I is influencer, also known as the expressive. S is steady, amiable. Steady, amiable. These are just some kind of cheat words to help you remember them. The C is the compliant, analytical. The compliant, analytical. So what did I have you write down? I had you write down the ability to adapt. Well, Jeff, how do I adapt? Well, watch this. People freak out when I say this, and you'll hear me say this up in Traverse City this summer. I have 4 different listing presentations. People are like, I'm just trying to learn one. You have 4? The script is the same. The style in which I present is different in each one of those. So I actually morph my presentation to them because I want them saying in their mind, this Jeff is just like me. He gets me. He's just like me. So how do I do that? Well, I do that through things like rate of speech. Write down rate of speech. Just write down somewhere next to where you drew that out, rate of speech. What can we change or adapt? Rate of speech, meaning my words per minute. I adjust my words per minute depending on who I'm talking to. If anyone watched this past January 1st, and I've done this probably since 2007, every January 1st I prospect expireds in my market. There's anywhere from 500 to 1,000 every January 1st. I guarantee you the same thing happens in Cleveland. This past January, we happened to live stream it, so we broadcasted it so everybody could watch. And the observations that people were having were pretty cool. I kept seeing them say, Jeff, it's like you're a different person every time someone answers the phone. Because I speed up or slow down my rate of speech based on how they answer the phone. What else do I change? I change my volume. My volume. Think decibel meter, like how loud I speak, right? By the way, rate of speech, your high Ds and high Is, they move faster, they talk faster, they do things at a faster pace. Your high Cs, your high S's, they move slower, they talk slower, they do things at a slower pace. So if I'm a high D and I'm going to present to a high C, or if I'm a high I presenting to a high C, they're going to think I'm a fast-talking salesperson. This is a fast-talking, snake oil, slick sales guy. Or the high I. Gosh, they're all over the place. So we have to adjust our rate of speech. We also can tone our volume down. Louder volume here, softer volume there. What else can we adjust? Our energy and in our enthusiasm. Our energy and our enthusiasm. Some of us are gifted with higher levels of energy and enthusiasm than others. Sometimes, in most cases, that works for you, and other times it works against you. All right? If If I'm a high I in the room, where are my high I's at? Real high, real high, real high. High expressives, I's in the room, great. If you're a high I in the room, you are gifted with a higher level of energy, enthusiasm than any one of these styles. You have that figured out. The challenge is, if you're going on an appointment with a high C, where are my high C's in the room? Real high, real high. Oh, still calculating maybe? It's going to take a minute. Okay, we can wait a few. Kidding. My high C's, if I'm a high I going to present to a high C, I need to tone my energy enthusiasm down, which is why I recommend, by the way, my high I's, for those of you that raise your hand. Moving forward, if you want to increase your listing conversion, moving forward, when you get to the house for the presentation, normally, right now, you maybe ask them to show you to the kitchen or the kitchen table. Moving forward, this is for my high I's. I want you to ask to be shown to the living room. And you're going to find yourself a nice, great big couch or a sectional somewhere in the living room. You're just going to lay down on it. You're going to do your presentation laying down. Okay? It's going to bring down your energy and enthusiasm. I promise it will. I'm kidding. Don't do that. Okay? Do your appointments sitting on your hands. I don't know. High C's. Now this is actual. I was joking with that one. The high C's. This is very good advice. If you're one of the ones that raise your hand, or you're thinking about raising your hand because you're calculating, considering, I want you to consider doing this on listing appointments moving forward. I'm being dead serious with this one. From now on, I want you to attempt to do your listing presentations standing up at their kitchen island or their kitchen counter. It will naturally raise your energy and enthusiasm to match theirs, especially if you're meeting with a high D or a high I. And so when they suggest to you, hey, Jeff, are you sure you don't want to sit down? No, I'm okay standing up if you are. Yeah, sure, no problem. Stay standing up. It will increase your listing conversion. You go on 10 appointments and you do that, you're going to get one that you would not have gotten just by doing that. Because your natural level of energy and enthusiasm will be higher, which means they're going to be excited about hiring you. Because here's the downside of the folks down here. When you go present to these guys, they think you're boring, mundane, you're slow. How does this person even sell any homes? Those are the thoughts that go through their heads. Just like the thoughts go through your heads when you meet with these guys up here saying, how do they sell any homes? They're irresponsible. The guy was late. He's talking about all those homes that he sells, and he just didn't even ask me any questions. These are the thoughts that go through their head because they want to do business with someone that makes them feel good. Your energy, enthusiasm. How about this next one? What can we change or adapt? Our emoji and punctuation use. Seriously. Our emoji and punctuation use. You want to be in greater rapport with clients if you're messaging them through Facebook or Instagram or Messenger or text messages or whatever. Pay attention to how often they use emojis and how often you use emojis. If they're using a lot of emojis, you use a lot of emojis. If you normally talk in a lot of emojis and would rather talk with faces than words, and they're using only words, knock off the emoji usage. Dial it down. If you're the kind of person that needs to have 17 exclamation points after everything exciting that happens, just backspace. 1 or 2, it's all we need. We get the point. We get the point. Your consumers will be freaked out by that because they're just using perfect punctuation. You have to match their punctuation and emoji use. I know this sounds silly, but this is how you get into rapport through Messenger and DMs and PMs and text messages. Next, the ability to isolate and overcome objections. The ability to isolate and overcome objections. You have to get your hands on the objections. They're in our script book. You can go to gloverview.com and download our script book. It's free. At the retreat, we're going to do this really cool thing called Stump the Chump, where for 3 days, attendees get to turn in every single objection that they're experiencing right now in their business or while on appointments. And on the last day, so on Wednesday in the afternoon, I go through them one by one. And I give you a script for every single objection that you're encountering right now. The basic ones are in our script book, but I get it. Sometimes you get different ones. Sometimes they're more advanced. Sometimes they're unique. The ability to isolate and overcome objections. Most people don't recognize this. Do you know that listings are won and lost based on how well you present price and how well you handle their objections? Listings are won and lost based on how well you present price and how well you overcome their objections. That's important. Next, the ability to master a question-based listing presentation. The ability to master a question-based listing presentation. That's number 10. Question-based. 9? Number 9? All right, cool, that works. Sometimes I get out of order whenever the break lands. The ability to master a question-based listing presentation. Meaning, you're not just sitting there and talking and talking and talking and explaining and explaining and explaining and presenting and presenting and presenting features and benefits and features and benefits, and here's what we do, and here's why it's so great, and oh, by the way, here's my dog, and here's this, and here's my cat. Questions-based. You're asking questions because when they're talking, you're building rapport. When you're talking, you're not building rapport. The more the customer talks, the more rapport you build. The less the customer talks, the less rapport you're building. Again, you can get our scripts online or at the event. You'll see a live listing presentation for today. Next, I wrote down the ability to start over at 0 every day. The ability to start over at 0 every day. The ability to start over at 0 every day. Now, I'm seeing your notes. Some of you have 10, some of you have 11. That was 11. I don't have time to go through them all, but trust me, there was 11 in there. I'll just rattle them off real quick. The ability to manage your time, especially in the morning. The ability to contact prospects today through all methods. The ability to close for an appointment. The ability to keep following up. The ability to spend time in pre-listing packages. The ability to ask for the sale one more time than you're comfortable with. The ability to practice a role play no matter how good you are. The ability to identify the communication style of the prospect. The ability to isolate and overcome objections. The ability to master a question-based listing presentation. And the ability to start over at 0 every day. That was 11. Okay. Step number 3. Oh, we got a winner. Hold on. Swag winner. Who do we got? Andy. Where are you at? Where's Andy at? Andy, you in the room? All right, let's hear for Andy. Nice job on the post. They surprised me with that one. Nice job. All right, make sure you see Taylor at the end. Oh, we have a virtual winner also? It's going to be on their screen. So do you want me to just say it right now?
Yeah, it's Danielle.
All right, Danielle on the virtual. Congratulations. Let's hear it for Danielle. On the live stream, Danielle is getting some Live Unreal swag. Nice job on the post, Danielle. Okay, now we're going into step 3, messaging and writing copy. By the way, Andy, see Taylor at the end. We'll get you set up with a men's Live Unreal health kit. Okay, messaging and writing copy, number 3. So I wrote down there's 5 steps to writing copy. 5 steps to writing copy. Write these down, please. Step number 1, always start with a hook and or a compelling headline. Always start with a hook or a compelling headline. What is a hook? A hook is something that grabs their attention. A hook is something like, I bet you thought right now was not a great time to buy. A hook is, I bet you thought right now is the best time to sell, right? That's a hook, right? You can't see it, I'll read it for you, but this is an example of a hook. I didn't go to opening day prior to joining my team. I honestly had no idea what I was missing out on. That's a hook, because it leaves me hanging. What else is going to happen here? This is a simple hook. This was a fun one. That's a hook. What was so fun? A hook leaves you hanging. There's more. A hook is designed to stop people from scrolling. A hook is designed to get people to notice your social media posts. So you always start with a hook. Number 2 is introduction, or a personal introduction. Now, if you're writing copy, you don't need to introduce yourself in a Facebook post. Why? Because the Facebook post is from you, and it's got your name there. Excuse me. When you're reciting copy, such as doing a live video, let's just say, you're always going to introduce yourself, because the assumption is that more people are going to see it than not see it. At one of our last events, I think our January event that Carl was at, I did a live demonstration from the stage. I'll do one now real quickly. So let's just pretend first. Actually, let me get through these first, and then I'll do the demonstration. So an introduction. If you're doing a video, you always do an introduction. I'll show you in a second what that looks like. Step 3, supporting info. I got to have something to support my hook. If I'm going to put a hook out there, I got to back it up. Supporting info. Support my hook with 1 to 2 facts or an explanation of my hook. This is writing copy that gets you noticed. This is writing copy that gets engagement. Number 4, step 4, having examples or testimonials. Having examples or testimonials. Okay, so I gave the hook, I introduced myself, I backed it up, and now I need to give you an example to further convince you, to further get you to say, oh, that's confirmed. I get it now. A testimonial does that great. And then finally, number 5 is a call to action. A call to action. What do I want them to do? What's the next step? What do I want out of this step 5, the call to action? So let's just pretend for a second. Some of you that were at our last event in Orlando might have remembered I did this on the stage. I'm going to ad-lib a real quick Facebook Live video right now. Of course, I have a fake phone in my hand. Let's just pretend I finished up a closing with a client. And I tell them, in the lobby, hey guys, when I get in the parking lot, I'm going to go live on Facebook. Would you mind saying a few things? Oh, sure, Jeff, no problem. Or they might say, what? How do I look? I don't know. I'm not going to be. Who's going to see this? Don't worry, no one's going to see it. You're going to be fine. Everyone's going to see it, I hope. All right, no problem, Jeff. Sure. So we get out in the parking lot. Okay, I pull up my Facebook Live. By the way, anytime you do a video, the title should be your hook. Okay, so there's another piece of advice for you there. If you're wondering, when you do a Facebook Live video, remember if you've done one before, if you've done several, you might get puzzled like, well, what should I use as my title? Your title and hook are the same. So the hook I'm going to use is, I bet you thought right now wasn't a great time to buy. And so I'm going to put that as the title of the video. I bet you thought right now was not a good time to buy. So I type that in, I go live. I bet you thought right now was not a great time to buy. With all the talks of interest rates going up, it sounds like a miserable experience for buyers. Hi, I'm Realtor Jeff Glover, and we just finished up a transaction with my buyers where we were able to save them $10,000 off of the asking price because of what's happening in the market right now. But don't just take it from me. Oh, it was so great working with Jeff. Last spring, we had to write so many offers with another realtor, and none of them got accepted. We worked with Jeff for 2 weeks, and he got our first offer accepted, and everything was great, and we always use that, Hey, for results like those, give me a call today at 855-JEFF-SELLS or online at 855jeffsells.com. Upload an HD, done, send, it's done. So there's me following the copy. Remember, I introduced myself. Hi, I'm Realtor Jeff Glover. No matter what, I'm always introducing myself. Why? Because later, I'm going to go in, I'm going to open up my laptop, I'm going to click on that video. There's going to be 3 dots on the right-hand side. I'm going to click on those 3 dots. It's going to give me a drop-down. That drop-down is going to have 6 or 8 options. One of the options is download. I'm going to download that video directly to my laptop. I now can drag and drop that video right to my YouTube channel. Everyone in here should have a YouTube channel. If you don't, go make one. You'll thank me later for that. So I can drag it and drop it to my YouTube channel because that's where I'm going to host all my videos. Or they'll get exposure through the years, or if I choose to pay to advertise them later, it doesn't matter. I need a place to host them. So I drag and drop my video to YouTube. Very simple. I had a BlackBerry up until like 4 years ago. Anyone in this room can figure it out. Seriously, that's a true story, by the way. I drag and drop it to YouTube. It's going to give me a unique YouTube link. I take that YouTube link over to Constant Contact or to MailChimp. I then put that into my CRM. And, oh, by the way, I'm going to click on buyers searching in the last 24 months. I have all these buyers leads in there that are searching for the last 24 months. And I'm going to send them an email with this video. And, oh, by the way, what is my subject line going to be? The hook. Your subject line should match your hook. You'll get a higher open rate. Stop with this, maze, market update. Don't go general. It's got to be catchy. It's got to be something to get me to click. So my subject line is, I bet you thought right now was not that best time to buy, ... Well, yeah, I'm here. What does the buyer say? It's not the best time to buy. With interest rates going up, why would this be a good time to buy? Let's see what this sucker has to say. Oh, really? It is a good time to buy. He saved them $10,000 off the asking price. So now all of a sudden, I have some leads coming in from that video. That all started with a Facebook Live, right? So we don't have to, when we're doing Facebook Live videos, you're not doing them for the Facebook Live. You're doing it for future use. So stop saying things like, hey guys, we're live on Facebook. Hey, Bobby Sue, good to see you. Oh, great. Just give it a minute. We'll get started. Knock all that off. Because when you do the Facebook Live, you're doing it for future use. All right, so that is the 5 steps to writing or speaking great copy. I'm going to show you another example before we're done today of how great copy looks. Let's jump to step number 4. Step number 4, I wrote down the 11 must-dos with social media this summer. The 11 must-dos with social media this summer. Must-dos. Whatever you learned last year is probably old and dated and expired because it's always changing. Number 1, and some of you saw this before, we had a half-day session last year. We shared our social media calendar, so you may have seen this before. We've actually updated it, and I'll share with you in a second what we've updated. So from now on, I want you to stop posting haphazardly because most of us do. Something cool happens, we go to a cool restaurant, we're at Topgolf next door, whatever. We're doing something fun, well, they'll just post about it. My recommendation is moving forward to start documenting your post, because when you do a good post, let's just say, last night you were with friends at Topgolf and got some good video and whatever, had a great experience. And let's say you posted last night, and then you're on your way to this event, and you're posting about coming to this event. You're actually hurting the engagement from your post from last night. So I want you to be mindful of how often you're posting, specifically about business and in your personal life. When you have a good idea for a post, I want you to document it. Just create a notes file in your phone. And so moving forward, I want you to think about, okay, each day, what could I post that would be motivating? What would I post that builds trust? And let me give you some examples on the next slide here. Okay, so educate, buyer tip, seller tip, frequently asked questions. Entertain, holiday message, pet post, family post. Motivate, seller challenge, best value of the month, why now is the best time to do something. Building trust, personal news or update, client testimonials, new listings, don't forget to geotag them. Community, coffee from you in a restaurant, always check in to wherever you're going. They're more likely, always tag the restaurant. If you're at a restaurant, they're more likely to share it with their circles, which will then get you more exposure. You have to have a social media calendar moving forward. By the way, we have a new social media guide, and all of you have an opportunity to get your hands on it. This is new for this year. It's a new resource that we just now started promoting. So you can get it by texting the word social to 55444. It's an 8-page document that says everything that you can do right now to succeed on social media. All right, so that's where, if you're looking for more ideas, if you're like, all right, Jeff, that was like surface level, you want more ideas, go get that. Number 2. Create a very important client Facebook group. Create a very important client Facebook group. Some of you were at our event last year here in Cleveland, and I talked about creating neighborhood Facebook groups. In fact, I've been talking about neighborhood Facebook groups for a couple years now. And some of you have said, well, Jeff, my neighborhood already has a Facebook group. Now what do I do? Then you create a niche Facebook group, right? Highland Lakes Estates Dads Group, Highland Lake Estates Moms Group, Highland Lake Estates Golfers Group, Highland Lake Estates Boaters Group, Fisher Group, whatever, Hunters Group. You create a niche group. Why do I want to create Facebook groups? Well, first of all, Zuckerberg has been very vocal saying that that is the one thing they're going to put a lot of time and energy into over at Facebook. Number 1, they're not going anywhere, AKA. Number 2, it's the one thing that you can do that when you own the group, you can ensure that people get notified when you post. Right now, you can make the most amazing post ever. Hire the best video crew, spend all the money on a great video and a flashy car and all this great stuff, and you post it to social media, and it gets 27 likes and reactions and like 7 comments. What the heck happened? I spent so much time and energy on that. Why did that happen? Well, first of all, it's because you're trying to sell the audience on something, which we're going to get to in a second. But when you have a Facebook group, you can be sure that everyone in the Facebook group, so long as they have their Facebook notifications on, which most people do, they're going to be notified when you post in the group, so long as you own the group. So moving forward, you're going to add all of your friends on Facebook. You're going to invite everyone. By the way, you don't have to be friends with them on Facebook for them to be in your Facebook group. You can send them the link through email. You can send them a link through text. You can have it as part of your mailing. Every time we send out a mailer to our database right now, we're inviting them to our very important client Facebook group. Why? Because remember going back to one of the first things I said, consumers are less loyal to their database? Remember how I said the 10% rule went down to the 8% rule? This is a way to stay in front of them more frequently so they'll stay loyal to us. If you did not get a chance to create a neighborhood Facebook group, the next slide is an example of what you could mail out to get people to join your neighborhood Facebook group. Some of you have seen this before. We've covered this. What's great about this particular postcard is no advertising. This is from a licensed real estate agent. There's absolutely no advertising on it. No face, no name, no logo, no phone number, no website. Why? Because they don't want to join your sales group. They want to join something that's going to provide value to them. So join for news in the neighborhood, recommendations, barbecues, Friday food truck rallies, whatever. This particular agent has a neighborhood of about 625 homes. There's over 300 people in this Facebook group. And this particular agent is getting business from the Facebook group. In fact, Taylor is that agent. How many listing appointments between the Facebook group and the letter that you sent in the last 90 days? 10 listing appointments, meaning people that have reached out and said, hey, we see you sharing market data in the neighborhood group, and we also know you have a buyer for our neighborhood. Can we talk? Yes. And do you believe that this Facebook group helped you with that? Yes. So she's got people in her Facebook group, and now she hit them with a letter saying, I've got buyers that want to be in the neighborhood. They already know her name because they see her posting in the Facebook group all the time. Why do they see her posting in the Facebook group all the time? Because of the notifications. Facebook groups cause people's phones to get notified. Your amazing post on Facebook does not cause anything to get notified. They just happen to be scrolling and seeing it. So make sure you're creating a neighborhood Facebook group and a client, very important client group. Get all of your clients in there. Moving forward, if I want to stay in touch with them, I need to make sure they're getting notified of my stuff. Facebook groups will help you with that. That's number 2. Number 3, get to 5,000 friends as fast as possible on Facebook. Why? Why not? It's free advertising. In advertising, they have a saying called CPI. They ask everything. What's the CPI of this? What's the CPI? What's the CPA? CPI, cost per impression. Facebook allows you to have up to 5,000 friends for free. Cost per impression, 0. So why not maximize my impressions? Well, Jeff, how do I add people? It's simple. You're going to log in every day anyways. You scroll enough till it gets to the point to where it suggests friends. You click on their face, you see what they do. So long as they're not selling real estate here in Cleveland, you add them. Well, last time I checked, somebody in Cleveland's probably not going to buy or sell with you. So I want to click on their face and see what they do. Oh, Dan Carlson, looks like a nice guy, works for Ford Motor Company, add. Cool. This could be a potential buyer or seller. And Dan and I have 17 mutual friends, although I've never met Dan. I see we have 17 mutual friends, and Dan is likely to accept my request because he's going to see that we have 17 mutual friends. He's not going to question why I'm adding him. He's just going to confirm. Now, some won't confirm, but most do. Add 8 a day for 250 working days. That's 2,000 that you've added in just 1 year. Get to 5,000 friends as fast as possible. Gets more eyeballs on your stuff. Number 4. This is a little tricky one to write down and kind of comprehend, so I'm going to repeat it a few times and I'm going to explain what I mean. Get local qualified Instagram followers. Get local and qualified Instagram followers by following people. Get local Instagram followers by following people who have interacted with those that you follow and follow you. Get local Instagram followers by following people that have interacted with the posts of people that you follow or follow you. Let me explain what I mean by that. I'm just going to use the Dan Carlson from Ford Motor Company example for a second. Dan ends up being a client. Awesome. I happen to see that Dan, by the way, I'm exchanging Instagram handles with Dan at the listing table. Hey Dan, I'm going to do everything I can to promote your home, and it's going to help me promote it if we follow each other. Hey Dan, let's find each other on Facebook right now. We're confirming each other as friends after I have a listing agreement signed. Why? Because when I post Dan, I want to tag you. And Dan, I want all of your friends at Ford or wherever it is you work to see that your home's for sale because it's going to help us get more exposure. Okay, no problem. So Dan and I accept each other's friends requests. Hey, what's your Instagram handle? I follow Dan. Dan follows me. Great. I happen to see that Dan posts a great photo of him and his family with the Easter Bunny. So I click on the photo. Wow, Dan Carlson got 72 likes on that photo. So what do? I click on all the people that liked it. What does it show me? All of the people that engaged with this post. And what do? Follow, 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 follow. Why? Because these are all people that are friends with Dan or work with Dan at Ford or his family that are engaging with this stuff. And when they see that I have followed them, a good percentage, not 100%, a good, more than 50%, are going to do what? They're going to follow me back. Because it's just the thing to do. And some of them are going to follow me back, and they're going to say, hey, that was Dan's realtor. Okay, that makes sense that he's following me. Yeah, I'm the cubicle over from Dan, and Dan was talking about his houses for sale. That must be his realtor. Oh, yeah, that is. That's that real estate guy. Now I'm organically gaining followers that are friends, family, and coworkers of my clients. It's a little Instagram trick that'll get you real followers. Number 5, take advantage of Instagram Reels. Take advantage of Instagram Reels. Right now, it's one of the best things you can do on Instagram. I know it's kind of a pain in the butt. It's time consuming, but it is easy to figure out once you do 1 or 2. Right? You got to capture a lot of short videos and put them into one 60-second video. Instagram does everything they can to help you do that, by the way. They make it as easy as can be. But why is there power in Instagram Reels? Because Instagram right now, and for the foreseeable future, is doing everything they can to keep people off of TikTok. And so, why are they doing that? Well, because their numbers are showing that people are spending more time watching video on TikTok than on their platform. And they were like the original platform of images and videos. Remember Instagram TV? You don't really hear about Instagram TV anymore, do you? It still exists, but it's not popular. They were like the originators of it. And so, because TikTok came around and they have nothing to do, Instagram's owned by Facebook, they have nothing to do with TikTok. Instagram is now making sure that when you create Reels, it gets as much exposure as possible. They're showing it to people that don't even know you. Why? Because then you're more likely, because you just got that, that dopamine or that excitement of people liking and commenting and whatever, they know that. The more people that they show your reel to, the more likely you are to do what? Another one and use it and stay on their platform. And so right now, Instagram Reel is the absolute hottest thing you can do on Instagram. Take advantage of it while they're pushing those to the front. They're making sure that those get more exposure than anything else on Instagram, so that way you keep going back and doing more. So you stay off of TikTok. So take advantage of it if you're a real estate agent. That's number 5. Number 6, utilize Facebook Live and Facebook Stories. Those are still outside of Facebook groups, the 2 best things you can do on Facebook. Facebook Lives and Facebook Stories. That's number 6. Number 7, use different copy for each platform. Use different copy, so your messaging. You're going to use different copy for each platform. Why is that? Well, the demographics of each platform is different. You know that the number 1 demographic on Facebook right now is 35 to 54-year-olds. What is the largest demographic of people listing their homes for sale? 35 to 54-year-olds. People are like, Jeff, you spend way too much time talking about Facebook. Let's talk more about TikTok or Instagram. I like sellers. I'm going to go where sellers go. That's why I spend more time talking about Facebook. But because the largest audience is 35 to 54 on Facebook, and let's just say, I don't actually know this exact number, but let's say it's 21 to 37 on Instagram, my copy that does well on Facebook might not match the audience over on Instagram. For sure, it's not going to match the audience over on TikTok. So I need to change things. I need to change what I'm saying, change the emojis, change the messaging, change the copy, depending on the platform. Number 8, stop sharing from your business page. Number 8, stop sharing from your business page. I see real estate agents do this all the time. This has no value. Instead, just create a new post. Create an organic post. Your business page is really only good for a couple things. It's good for credibility, it's good for reviews, it's good for paying for advertising. But a lot of the advice I'm giving you today, just so we're clear, because I normally get this question at the end, so I'm just going to answer it now. I'm referring to your personal profiles, your personal Facebook page, your personal Instagram profile. You can have business ones, that's fine, but the advice I'm giving you right now is personal. You're going to get more business from your personal profiles than you will your business page. Period. Well, how do I do that? Well, you have to treat your personal profiles as a database. You have to think, moving forward, that your Facebook personal profile and your Instagram personal profile is your database. That's your sphere of influence. You'll get more business from it if you take that mindset shift on it. Number 9, don't get mad. Number 9, stop using Canva on your personal pages. Canva. Stop using Canva. Stop using Canva. Are you kidding me? I just bought the Pro edition. I just figured out how to use this thing. Watch. They want you to spend money advertising. You can't advertise on your personal page. You got to go to the business side. So guess what? When their algorithm detects that you're trying to advertise on your personal page because a flyer or an image, a JPEG with your phone number, your website, your photo, sold for 87% of the asking price, whatever, when they see this come across on your personal page, their algorithm knows to hide it. The only way that those are going to get good exposure is if it has good copy to go along with it. So let me restate this. You can still use Canva so long as you're really good at writing copy. Well, how do you get really good at writing copy? Well, you have to do a better job of telling a story. Write it down. Well, I'll handle it. Do a better job of telling a story. Facts tell, but stories sell. Facts tell, but stories sell. You can still use Canva if you're really good at writing copy, following the 5-step formula. But if you want better exposure instantly, stop using Canva. Use the raw photo of the house, use the raw photo from the closing, use a selfie at the closing table, take a picture of the closing table, whatever you have to do. Use raw and real images. Do not put all sorts of words and logos and all this other stuff around them like it does on Canva, because Facebook knows to hide that, because Facebook knows you're trying to sell their audience something. They don't want you selling their audience something unless you're paying for it. Number 10. Promote your buyer success stories on social media just like your seller success stories. Promote your buyer success stories on social media just like you promote. We've been trained to promote all of our seller success stories, sold, percentage of asking price, all this other stuff. What about when your buyer has a success story? So there's 3 things you're going to promote. And what's great about this next market, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to do this. 3 things you're going to promote. So we'll just call this 10A. Whenever you save them time. In other words, you were able to help them secure a home in under 30 days, that's worth promoting. That's good news. Whenever you're able to save them time. Remember, the best marketing solves a problem. The marketing that gets noticed is marketing that solves a problem. What's the problem? Well, buyers think that it's hard to get a sale right now because the data hasn't caught up with them yet. They still think it's tough to get a house. And to some degree, in some price ranges, we know it is. So whenever I'm able to save them time, I'm shouting that from the rooftops. Whenever I'm able to save them money, I'm shouting that from the rooftops. Save my buyer $10,000 under the asking price. When's the last time you heard that? Under the asking price. You better be promoting the heck out of that over the next 90 days, 120 days while you have some success stories. And then the third thing would be multiple offers won. Multiple offers won. When you win in a multiple offer situation, promote that. Beat 7 other offers. Beat 8 other offers. Beat 3 other offers. Promote your buyer success stories. By the way, you want to hear a good hook? Inflation. It's a fear many buyers have right now. The question is, if I buy now, am I purchasing at the height of the market? Question mark. That is a hook. And by the way, if you were to continue to read through this, which I know in the back you probably can't see it, it's telling a story about the transaction and ultimately showing how, even though the market is what it is, he saved his buyer 10 grand. Now, the only thing I don't like about this is he used Canva, but that was before I was giving the advice. And finally, number 11, which we're going to spend a lot of time at this, we're going to spend a lot of time on this one in Traverse City, and that is become a master of short form and long form video. Become a master of short form and long form video. So short form is basically video that's 90 seconds or less, stories, reels, that kind of thing. Long form is 2 minutes or more. That's your YouTube stuff. At our last event down in Orlando, we had Ken Posick on our stage, who is like the master of YouTube videos. And we interviewed. I wanted to know everything from start to finish. By the way, there's an article in the Gazette if you're interested in getting better at video. Anyways, we had enough feedback, so we always ask for feedback after all of our events. What can we do better? We had enough people say, we want to talk more about mastering video. It's obvious that the industry is going in that direction. So we decided in Traverse City, we're going to have a breakout session just on short form and long form video. Regardless of whether you come to Traverse City or not, spend some time mastering these two. Just start Googling, start watching YouTube videos, and you'll learn. All right, let's move to step 5. We're in the, all right, home stretch here. 10 minutes to get through step 5. I want to stay on time. Step 5 is database building skills. In order to continue to receive the same amount of business or more from our database, we have to do some things to get more business from them or add people to it. By the way, there's 3 ways you can get more business from your database. It's real simple. You don't even have to write it down. You'll remember this forever if you haven't heard it yet. 3 ways to get more business from your database. Ready? Add more people to it, because it's a numbers game. Add more value to the people that are there. That's B. Or C, do A and B simultaneously. That's the formula. That's it. You want to get more business from your database? Either A, add more people to it, B, add more value to the people that are there, or C, do A and B simultaneously. So let's talk about that. So I've got 6 ways you can build a database in the second half of this year. Number 1, host in-person events with guests invited. One of the best things we ever did to get more business from our database, since you're going to be putting on the event anyways, allow your database to invite guests. We did a webinar yesterday, Taylor's webinar on hosting client events, which you guys can go get it if you go to glovery.com/webinar. We spent 30, 40 minutes on this topic. We talked about how if you're doing an adult event, like, you know, a couples kind of thing, give them 2 tickets for themselves and 2 tickets for another couple. If you're doing a family event, like, you know, let's say a zoo event or photos with Santa or something like that, give them passes for one family and passes for another family. The fastest way to build your database with people that are going to know you, like you, and trust you is going to be by getting them into your world through your client events. If you're going to be doing client events anyways, start allowing your clients to invite guests. Hey, you want to invite some neighbors, you want to invite some friends, you want to invite some relatives? What a fast way to grow your database with people. By the way, the law of reciprocation says you do enough good for someone, it's going to come back to you. Well, they're going to feel obligated. They're going to feel like they owe you. They're going to want to return the favor. Host in-person client events with guests invited is number 1. Number 2, do an audit of your current value proposition. Do an audit of my current value proposition to my database and update it. Do an audit of my current value proposition to my database and update it. Meaning, there's probably things that you're doing that you've been doing for years to your database. I'm sorry, it's getting stale. And the reason why it's getting stale is because agents have gotten smart. Agents have gotten better. Agents have come to our events. Agents have signed up for coaching. Agents have come to seminars. And they're starting to do all these great things to add value to their database. The problem is what you were doing doesn't stand out anymore because other people are doing it. I'll give you an example. When is the last time you actually needed a reminder to set your clocks back? Seriously. Who has relied on that reminder? Like, thank gosh I got that email. No, but we're still sending them out, aren't we? Why? There's no value anymore. That is something that should be eliminated right away and replaced with something else. Do an audit of your value proposition, your database, and update it is that point. Next point. Make adding people daily a habit. Make adding people daily a habit. Miss, can you do me a favor? You won the planner, right? Can we open that up real quick? Just open up to any page, just right in the middle there. All right, that's good. Right there. Perfect. There's some gray boxes down at the bottom, right? Yep, can you read the first 5 lines in those gray boxes, please?
Contacts made.
Contacts made.
Appointments set.
Appointments set.
Appointments gone on.
Appointments gone on.
Contracts signed.
Contracts signed.
Add to database.
And add to database. Is that at the bottom of every page? Every day. So every day we're looking at who did I talk to today? Contacts made, appointments set, appointments gone on, contracts signed. Those are the core 4. All of us should be tracking those anyways every day. There's a 5th one, add to database. Who did I talk to today or who did I meet with that I should be adding to my database? You want to offset the 10% rule becoming the 8% rule, you have to add people to it. So we look at the end of every day, who did I talk to, who did I speak to, who did I meet with that makes sense to add to my database. Next, identify a new farm and implement hybrid farming. Identify a new farm and implement hybrid farming. Again, it was so great having a guest in our sales meeting yesterday when I asked, all right, what's the difference between the top producers and the rest? He didn't even call it farming. He said the top producers have a list of people that they prospect regularly and give updates to the market monthly. Interesting. I've been teaching agents to do hybrid farming for years, which is the same thing. Calling into a neighborhood once a month, 12 months in a row, or posting in your Facebook group once a month, 12 months in a row, of all the new listings and sales. That's hybrid farming. You don't have to send out all these postcards and pumpkin seeds and all this other stuff. Just give them a market update once a month. Hybrid farming. It's free. It takes time, but you'll get results. By the way, hybrid farming, after 8 or 9 months of doing it consistently, you'll get your first listing. But hear that, I said you have to do it for 8 or 9 months consistently before you get your first listing. Regular farming, the traditional dropping things in the mail, 12 to 18 months before you get your first listing. And it costs a lot of money. Implement hybrid farming. Number 5, thank you. Step up your agent-to-agent referral game this summer. Step up your agent-to-agent referral game this summer. You want to get more listings this summer? In the 20 years I've been doing this, I've never seen as many agent-to-agent referrals take place that I'm seeing right now. And a lot of that has to do with social media. A lot of that has to do with Zillow and online reviews. So what's my recommendation? Most of you are in Facebook groups, depending on how active you are. When you see someone posting that they've got someone, I'm looking for a listing agent in Cuyahoga Falls, I'm looking for a buyer's agent in Akron, whatever you see there, instead of commenting and messaging them, take their first name and last name and put it into Google. Type real estate after it, hit search. You're going to pull up their cell phone number. You're on the phone talking to them while everyone else is commenting and DMing. Your DMs are going to sit in their unread inbox anyways if you're not friends with them, so just get on the phone. I'll call them and text them. I'm on the phone while everyone else is getting this popularity contest going on Facebook. Call them and text them. You have to find them in the Facebook groups, right? People say, well, where do you get agent-agent referrals? Go to events. You got to meet agents outside of your market. You're not going to get them from within. Okay, so go to events. That's where you're going to find agents to do agent-to-agent referrals. I can't tell you how many people have come up to us at our events and said, Jeff, just because I'm coming to your events, by the way, this is paid for. I got 3 referrals last year because people know that I'm the guy for Ohio. People know that I'm the gal for Cleveland. Go to events. And then finally, number 6, speaking of, identify which events I will be attending. Identify which events I will be attending in the last half of 2022. Identify which events I'll be attending in the last half of 2022 to improve my skills, mindset, and agent relationships. Identify which events I'll be attending in the last half of 2022 to improve my skills, my mindset, because we're going to need some help in this next market, because everything's going to be bad news, bad news, bad news, and agent relationships. I happen to know of one. So we're going to do a couple things right here. We are right on time. Look at that. So we're going to do a couple things. Do me a favor, go to the first couple pages in your workbook where you started taking notes. And this is your opportunity to ask me a deeper question on anything that I shared. And for those of you that, oh my gosh, I got to get rolling, trust me when I tell you, sometimes the Q&A, the next 5 minutes, is the best portion of the day. So hang out with us for a little bit if you can. So go back to anything that you circled and starred that you want to ask a deeper question on. We're going to do 3 things right now. We're going to do that. For those of you that are joining us in Traverse City and you don't have a question, this is your opportunity to turn in your form. So Taylor and Anthony will come around and grab them. I know a lot of you turn them in on the break, and a lot of you already told us you bought a ticket, and we're going to be reimbursing you for the difference. So if you're in that camp, make sure you turn it in so we get you the difference. That's the second thing we'll be doing, so we'll be filling out the forms. And by the way, for those of you that are on the fence, remember you have 14 days to figure it out. All you have to do is let us know in 14 days. Here's what ends up happening. Jeff, I was at your half-day event last week. Can I still get that price? The answer every time is no, because it's not fair to the people that took a chance and made a commitment today. So if you're on the fence, which I know at any time we do an event like this, about a third of the audience is on the fence, right? It's just kind of one of those things. I got to check this, I got to check dates, I might have a wedding that month, whatever. At least lock in the price. So that way you got 2 weeks to figure it out, all right? That's the second thing we're doing. The third thing is we're going to give away some more swag. So we've got some more swag winners. I know you guys here in Cleveland and on the virtual have been active on social media. So we're going to do some more Live Unreal swag. So who would like to start us off with a question based on what we've talked about today? Please. And I'll repeat the question so everyone can hear.
Yeah, since you're adverse to using Canva when you're marketing on social media.
Yes.
At the same time, like to my understanding, we have to include like our brokerage name.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of agents do that by using Canva and slapping our brokerage name on.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
how do you work around that?
Great question. So, and this is the very good question. I hear this a lot, actually. Well, by law, we have to use our brokerage name in the post. I'd rather use your brokerage name in the copy than in the image. You will get, as long as you write great copy and you have a good, natural, real image, not a Canva image, you can put your brokerage name in the text. I'm fine with that, so long as you do that. Now, I will tell you, every state is a little different, all right? I actually sat in a room with people that make decisions on what's legal and what's not. Now, this was in the state of Michigan. And it was argued that so long as they can click once and find your brokerage's name, it's acceptable. Now, I don't know the law in Ohio, but I can tell you in Michigan, there's literally, they call it the one-click rule. As long as I can click on your name and clearly see who your brokerage is with, you don't have to mention the brokerage in every single post. Now, check into that in Ohio. That's about the same here? So again, I'm not your broker. I would check with your broker on that first. But I can tell you Michigan and Ohio usually follow similar things when it comes to real estate, and that is the rule in Michigan. So regardless, if you have to include it, I'd rather it be in your copy than in the photo. All right? Good question. All right, what else on what we talked about? Please. Copy is what I'm referring to as the text, right? So copy is like your advertisement. Copy is the words that go along with your advertisement, right? So if you're making a Facebook post, everything you're going to type, that's your copy. Yep, great question. Yeah, writing copy or speaking copy. If I'm going to do a live video and I have a script, that's considered copy. Yep, please.
Whenever you're doing your copy, do you know what the statistics are on long copy versus short copy?
Do I know the statistics on?
Attention span, if they have to read 3 paragraphs.
Great question. Hey, what's the benefit of doing long copy versus short copy? My recommendation is, I don't care how long it is, so long as you're telling a story, you're going to get better engagement. So therefore, in theory, you would argue that to tell a good story, I'm going to have to write a couple paragraphs. Absolutely. Now, you're going to break it up with a couple periods and space it down, and a couple periods and space it down. But if you're writing good messaging, good copy, it's going to get good exposure, even if it's long. Okay? Great question. Please.
Hashtags. What's the right amount, wrong amount? And I know that the more general they are, there's algorithms that affect
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so the question is on hashtags. I was actually having this conversation with someone yesterday about how do we know what hashtags to use. Well, you can actually Google trending real estate hashtags. And you should probably do that. If you're a regular poster, you should do that probably once a week. Because hashtag things a realtor sees may not be trending like it was 6 months ago. But hashtag cool real estate is trending right now. So you can actually Google trending hashtags, and that's how you know what to use. Now, The quantity, I don't actually have an answer for that. I don't think there's a rule to that. I've never heard of a rule to that. Perhaps you could research that, or we could Google that and get you an answer. The question was, is it good to use, what if I use 27 hashtags? Is that a problem? Well, I would say this. If aesthetically your hashtags are like 50% of your whole post, that's a problem in my mind. So yes, at that point in time, you'd reduce the amount of hashtags.
I think on Facebook I tend to use less because it's more prominent.
Bingo. I agree with that. Yep, use less. In fact, when I'm posting on Facebook, I might take a similar post from Instagram, put it on Facebook, and I'll eliminate the hashtags altogether, depending on the length of the post. Yep, really good question. Please. What's that? Oh yeah, Greg is our marketing coach, and he would know that stuff. So absolutely, I would ask him that question. All right, anything else off of what we talked about today? And I know a lot of you are still filling out your forms, so they're coming around and grabbing them. Just hold them up real high, just tear them out, rip them in half. Please.
I was just kind of curious, how do you handle when you don't get the listing? What do you say?
Yeah, great question. What is your protocol, or how do you handle it when you don't get the listing? So when I know that for instance, I just had one a couple days ago, I ask for feedback. I'll say, hey, I appreciate the opportunity to earn your trust, and if you don't mind me asking, I'm always looking to do better next time. Is there something that you can share with me that caused you to go in a different direction? Now, in a lot of cases, they'll say something like, well, we just felt more comfortable with them. And then I'll actually press them a little bit. I'll say, I appreciate that. I know it's important that you're comfortable with who you do business with. And if you don't mind me asking, was there anything different that they were doing, or anything specific about what they were doing that stood out to you? Well, Jeff, they suggested that if we also bought with them, they would give us a discount on the commission, and that was really important to us. Okay, good to know, right? So I'm always taking it one step deeper to get the true feedback. Because they're going to say things like, oh, Jeff, you were great. What are you talking? It just, we were here, and it was late, and we had a couple glasses of wine, and we just wanted to get it done with, but we'll tell everyone we know about you. Hey, I appreciate that, and I'm always looking to do better. Could you think of anything specifically that they were doing differently, or that they talked about with you that was different than what we talked about? Well, yeah, they were willing to sign a 30-day listing, and we want to move fast, and it seemed like in a 90-day listing, it wasn't going to move as fast with you. Great, thanks for the feedback. Good question. Please, we got time for one or two more, and Taylor's coming around. Wow, looks like we got half of the state of Ohio joining us in Traverse City. Nice. All right, again, if you're on the fence, you got 14 days. Don't worry. Please.
What's your follow-up after a listing appointment? Do you do handwritten notes or anything like that?
My follow-up after a listing appointment, do we do handwritten notes or anything like that? So I'm going to actually rely on Taylor to help me out with this. I do know there's a couple things that we do, one of which is always a handwritten note. From time to time, I will send them, if it's a higher price listing, like $500,000 or more, we'll send them an edible arrangement immediately following the appointment. Okay, that stands out. What else do we do? Would you say those are the two main? And then just follow up, obviously.
Yeah, just follow up. I would say, honestly, the best thing that we incorporated within the last probably year is if he knows that he's in competition with other agents, sending that edible arrangement. I mean, it's $50, and in most cases, you can have it arrive the next day. And so what's your funny saying? You have I hope your weekend is as sweet as the treat you're about to eat, or
something like that.
Yep. Come up with something goofy.
Something whatever.
But honestly, I can count listings that we've gotten, and
they cite
coincidentally,
it. Yep.
They call us after I get the email
yep.
with the edible arrangement.
Yeah, and also one other thing that we do, if I know they're going to be buying, we immediately set them up on a home search. So they feel kind of tied to us on that end as well. So if I know they're going to be buying, because I have their email address, I immediately set them up on a home search. And I start getting that process started, almost like assuming I'm going to be their agent. And that's really like the overwhelming message. I just assume I'm going to be their agent. So I start working as if I am. Really good question. Please. Hybrid farming, yeah, I know I went through that pretty quickly. So hybrid farming is reaching out to a neighborhood either by phone, through social media, or in person, once per month, 12 months in a row. Hybrid farming, reaching out to a neighborhood, and I would pick a neighborhood that turns over. I wouldn't pick just everyone wants to be a luxury agent, and I appreciate that. But I would pick a neighborhood that turns over, the $250,000, the $350,000, the $400,000 stuff. That stuff moves. I'd pick something that moves. Why? They're less likely to have realtor relationships. They're more likely to trust the marketing that you're sending them. They're less likely to have country club commitments or belong to business clubs where they're obligated to use certain agents. reaching out to a neighborhood once a month for 12 months with market information. Okay? All right, so we're going to do a giveaway. So we're going to give away $1 million for just messing with the people that have to go. It's okay. All right, let's do the giveaway. And by the way, if you guys have any other questions off of anything we talked about today or are still filling out your form, which I see many of you are, stick around. We're going to be here for another 15, 20 minutes. So you're not in a rush to get out of here. Stick around with us if you have other questions. So let's see who's our next swag giveaway. Go ahead and put it on the screen. Jeremy, where are you at, Jeremy? Let's hear it for Jeremy. Nice job, Jeremy. All right. See Taylor or Anthony on your way out. They'll take care of the swag. And for those of you that are coming to Traverse City, we'll look forward to seeing you in northern Michigan later this summer. For those of you that are considering, get your forms in and let us know in 2 weeks. All right? Have a good one. See you guys. Thank you. Yeah, for sure.
After saving my insurance from Liberty Mutual,
I'm sorry, but don't